ng virus. Mangiingat po tayo. Mangsuot ng face mask. Maging malinis. Malayo. Bless po, ingat.
I am but a small dream. The fragrance of love beyond. I am but a small voice.
Good morning, everyone. We will start at 8:45 a.m. Again, we will start at 8:45 a.m. Thank you. Best morning, everyone. Let me thank you all for finding time in today's webinar. Actually, this is our third in a row in celebrating our Pride Month. Now, may I request everyone to find your most comfortable spot as we start this webinar with the national anthem, doxology, and Makat March. Please all stand for the national anthem.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng
This meeting
Pilipinas.
is being recorded.
Please remain standing for our doxology, to be followed by Makati March.
Ama namin, pakinggan mo po ang pagtawag namin sa iyong banal na pangalan. Basbasan mo po ang aming pagtitipon at kami kaluguran mo sa araw na ito. Pagyamanin mo po, Panginoon, at maging nakaayon sa iyong kalooban ang aming pagkikita-kita mula sa simula hanggang katapusan. Masalamin nawa namin ang layunin mong dakila sa aming buhay at may sagawa namin ngayon ang aming mga gawain na may kabutihan at pag-ibig sa aming kapwa. Kami po'y naninikluhod sa iyong harapan na kami iyong patnubayan at iwaksi sa aming kaisipan ang anumang masasamang kaisipan, inggit at pakikipag-alit sa aming mga kasama. Bigyan mo kami ng sapat na lakas at katalinuhan upang maibahagi naman namin ang aming makakaya sa aming mga kasama sa pagtitipon na ito. Panalangin namin ang lahat ng ito sa pangalan ng iyong bugtong na anak na si Jesus. Amen.
Thank you, Sir Pao, for the technical assistance. And now, for our welcome remarks, let me call a woman with good qualities to follow and who cares for us so much, an ESP grade 8 and 9 teacher, and of course, a guidance advocate, our very own Ma'am Ness and Morco.
Good morning. Good
Best
morning.
morning.
Ay, wait lang.
Good
wala-
morning po, ma'am.
Wait lang po.
Good morning po.
Morning po, ma'am. Morning po sa lahat.
Good morning po. Good morning po. Hindi ko makita. Okay na? Okay, good morning po.
Hindi pa po, ma'am.
Sa lahat. Okay na po?
Narinig ka po namin, ma'am. Pero yung camera niyo po hindi.
Good morning po. Unang-una po, greetings po. Good morning sa ating principal, si Sir Lev Dakanay, and then sa ating guest speakers, sa mga parents, students, and sa aking mga kasamahan sa ESP and Values Department, sa aming Coor, kay Sir Pao, and sa lahat po ng teachers ng Bangkal High School. Welcome po dito sa webinar on HIV education, awareness, testimonial, and screening. Good morning po sa lahat. Ayan, welcome dito sa ating seminar.
Thank you, Ma'am Ness. So, best morning po sa
Nagulat naman
lahat.
ako doon, nagulat ako.
Yes po. So, Recap tayo ng mga webinars na nangyari. Sabi ko nga kanina, this is our third in a row. So last week we have a teen webinar on sexuality. So yung mga participants natin doon from grade 9 and 10 students. Kasama rin natin yung ating mga stakeholders together with the parents. And yesterday, we have the LGBTQ community from Ladlad party list. So madami tayo ring natutunan sa kanila kung ano ba yung mga gusto nilang batas na maisulong. And syempre, as we promote this Pride Month, yung sinasabi nilang the love and acceptance na inaasam-asam nila. Siyempre kasi yung ating LGBT culture in the Philippines, sabi nga, napaka-distinctive ng culture na kinabibilangan nila. So sabi nga, gays and lesbians are generally tolerated pero hindi sila accepted in the Filipino society. So sa ibang bansa, sabi, may mga nandun na talaga yung pagtanggap pero alam naman natin yung kultura at paniniwala ng mga Pilipino pagdating sa mga ganitong komunidad. So medyo sinusulong, pinag-aaralan, sabi nga tanggap pero iba pa rin yung kanilang pakiramdam. So for today, we are blessed and to have our learning facilitator who is coupled with an impressive background, especially in pageantry, public relations, corporate communications, and actually it's many to mention. She is also a legal researcher, Office of the Court Administrator from Supreme Court of the Philippines, an HIV advocacy ambassadress for the Department of Health, National Youth Ambassador of Project Ribbon, and well, her beauty speaks for herself. So without further ado, let us all welcome Miss Patricia Shirley D. Santos. Welcome to Bangkal High School, Miss Patricia.
Can you hear me?
Yes po.
Okay. Ayan. So, I hope you guys can hear me well kasi I think medyo nakadelay sa akin yung share screen. So, I think it's also a problem with my internet this morning. So, umaga sa ating lahat. And thank you very much for inviting my organization, the Project Red Ribbon, and also having us and having this topic for all your attendees. So I hope that everybody has had a good morning, a filling breakfast, and I hope that you guys are ready to learn as much as you can for today's session. So siguro let's jump right into it. Can we have the PowerPoint shared on the screen? So I'm not, is it being shared na ba? Kasi feeling ko parang nagde-delay yung internet on my end.
Miss Patricia, you can share your own screen.
Okay. Wait.
Thank you.
Okay, it's opening now. But Ma'am Peaches, you can do the share screen for the videos, right?
Sir Pao will be the one to do for that thing.
Okay.
Thank you.
While we're waiting for the PowerPoint to open, is it okay for me to request for the image that I sent for the Redvocate Bingo to be flashed on the screen na lang muna? Kasi the PowerPoint is still open.
Sir Pao.
Sir Pao.
What is the specific
Redvocate Bingo is the name. Thank you.
advocate thing?
So of course, I would like to greet all the parents who are also inside this session. Tama ba, Ma'am Peaches? You have parents, you also have
Yes po. Students, our stakeholders, the parents, the barangay officials. Yes po. Bangkal, Makati.
All right. So later on, after my talk, I would like to challenge everybody to do the Redvocate Bingo. So what is the Redvocate Bingo? If you're an advocate for HIV/AIDS, and sometimes they find it so weird because the term is advocate for HIV/AIDS. And they say, why are you advocating for HIV/AIDS? And technically speaking, in the advocacy, when you say you're an advocate for HIV and AIDS, you're advocating for the eradication, number one, of stigma, or otherwise known as the prejudices that is usually attached to the condition of living with the HIV as a virus, and also people who are from AIDS. I request our audience who are not yet speaking to please mute your mics. Okay, thank you. So in the Redvocate Bingo, it's supposed to, I know you guys know this, lalo na yung mga kabataan. You guys know that in the internet we have this kind of game, especially in our Instagram accounts, where all you have to do is take the image. I hope Sir Pao can send it to everyone. You can send it in the chat, and then you can download the image, and then you can post on your Instagram and circle which are the experiences that you have had, in the course of your advocacy. I think a lot of you or some of you might be already in the advocacy. So if you're already in the advocacy, I would like to challenge you to fill out the Redvocate Bingo. Once you finish, kung may volunteer, I would like to see how you did in the bingo. It's supposed to let us know how far you have been in the advocacy. So if you could read it, sorry, my contacts are a little bit muddling my vision. So if it's okay, can you zoom in po a bit so they can see the text also? You can see the big ones. It's the get tested for HIV. And then there is played with children who are living with HIV, because there are children who are born with HIV. Pwede po ba zoom? Thank you po. And then after you're done, you can tag, see your more people. Okay, so I usually have problems with my PowerPoint in my desktop. that's why I was hoping it could be shared.
Sir Paulo.
Yes, ma'am. What do I need to do, ma'am?
Yeah, can you zoom in into the image po? So they could read it better.
Great, ma'am.
Actually, Pao, pwede mo ba na rin sigurong Ayan, sige. Okay lang. Hindi... My PowerPoint app has bugs kasi in my desktop. So, I have to try and open the PowerPoint here. But, kung pwede, Pao, can you share it na lang?
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Okay, so these are just some of the things that people do for the advocacy, diba? They attended an HIV/AIDS awareness seminar like this one. So you could probably check this off from your list later on. Other people like me, I have distributed condoms to vulnerable groups. I have volunteered my time in a group that supports Bill HIV, which is the Project Red Ribbon. I have time to accompany others to get tested for HIV. I have friends who have asked me to go with them because sometimes it's a very intimidating event in their lives and they wanted a friend. I also became a certified HIV peer counselor. So those are just some of the things that you guys can actually do. So, I'm all to go. Okay, I can share it now. Sir Bao, never. But I cannot. Okay. Sharing. There. Okay, can you see that now?
Yes po.
Okay.
Naka-flash na sa screen.
I'm just trying to go to the... There. Okay. So, good morning once again. So, I am Patricia Santos. I am currently the HIV/AIDS ambassadress of the Department of Health for their Live Free campaign. And I'm also a youth volunteer for Project Red Ribbon, the organization that was invited to do the talk today. So, for today po, para po sa ating mga nanay, tatay, ate, kuya, we'll be doing an HIV education and awareness talk. So we hope that through this presentation, we will become truly stronger with knowledge. So by the end of this talk, this is what we hope to give everybody. We hope to give everybody an overview of the HIV/AIDS situation in the Philippines. We also hope that everybody would have better knowledge about HIV and AIDS. And we hope that some of you, who are interested in this would get an overview also of the salient parts or the important parts of the HIV law. Okay, so I have over here, some quick questions that I think will be answered through this talk. So are these questions familiar to you? If it is, can you just raise your hand? Para naman medyo interactive yung ating discussion, diba? Okay. So raise your hand in the comment section, ganyan. Or in the Zoom app, I think there's a feature for it. So some of the questions, hindi ko na siya itatanong kasi usually we do this in a live audience, so we get to ask people about it. But if you know the answer, please try to input it in the chat. Yan. So number one, can you get HIV by talking to someone with HIV? Yan. And the answer here is no. Is HIV the same as AIDS? What's the answer? Later on, we will find out. Is it safe to be with a person living with HIV? And this is the romantic aspect. Is it safe to have a relationship, have a romantic and sexual relationship with a person living with HIV? Number 4, is the HIV test a requirement for school or work? Number 5, can you use the toilet seat used by someone with HIV? Number 6, does your school have HIV programs? Ayan. Number 7, is there a cure for HIV? Number 8, are you aware of bullying or discrimination involving students or the youth with HIV? This is actually a very important question. So if any of you know of such an incident, meron bang nabubully or discriminate because of their status as a person living with HIV, please let us know in the comment section. And then, have you experienced somebody who died of AIDS? Or have you experienced having a friend or somebody you know die of AIDS? And then number 10, are the medicines for HIV free? As you will later find out, the answer to that last question is actually yes. Okay. Next slide. Okay. It is hanging a bit. There you go. So understanding HIV and AIDS. So the situation here in the Philippines, or the HIV/AIDS epidemic trends, are presented here in the screen. So from January 1984 to April 2021, we have had about 86,771 cases. So ganyan na po talaga kalala yung ating situation. That's why it has been classified as an epidemic. Epidemia po ang HIV/AIDS sa Pilipinas. Yan. And as you can see here, there are total reported cases of 1,120. And that is for April 2021 alone. So can you imagine that for April, it's 1,000. 1,000 tao yung nalaman nila that they are positive with HIV. So the cases per day ratio right now is we have 33 cases per day. Of the 1,120, 1,076 are male, 44 are female, and 193 are with advanced infection. One of the things that I would like you to note is the fact that as early as there is a 1% dedicated to less than 15 years old sa age group. So I think this is something that we all have to worry about, because these are young people, diba? And even the next 30% is found to be 15 to 24 years old. So we have a lot of our young people, members of the younger generation, who are getting exposed to the virus. And then 52% are 25 to 34 years old. And then 15% is 35 to 49. And then 2% is 50 years old and up. So that is the main overview of the situation of HIV in the Philippines. All right. So we will further break this down by trying to see what are the different modes of HIV transmission. Ano nga ba yung iba't ibang paraan para magkaroon ng transmission or mahawa ang HIV from one person to another? So ang number 1 po kasi na dahilan kung bakit is still sexual contact. So that's actually sexual intercourse, or shorter form, they're having sex. And the sexual contact is divided into 3 main divisions. So first po muna is the males having sex with males, and then sex between males and females, or sex with males and females. This is differentiated in the third, which is the male-female sex, is because this is having sex with multiple partners. Yan. So or sex with variation of different genders. Ganun po yun. So, yun po yung tatlong classification kapag sa sexual contact. And kung makikita po natin sa data, which is flashed on your screen, di ba? So, you can see the number of people. And on this, pag sexual contact po talaga ang main, kumbaga, mode of transmission ng HIV/AIDS. That's why we would like to emphasize though that this is the reason why HIV/AIDS is not really a primarily an issue of the LGBTQ community. Kahit po kasi nakita natin dito na maraming kaso sa male to male sex at marami ring kaso the sex with males and females, we have to also understand, di ba, that in April 2021, 70 males and 40 females who are having male to female sex only. So they're having sex with the opposite gender lang po. They are still affected by this virus because this is not constrained or hindi siya nalilimitahan kung ano po ang inyong gender preferences. So I hope that we would note that mahalaga po ito kasi sometimes people lose sight of the fact that it's not just the LGBTQ community who are at risk. It's also everybody, everybody who are having sexual contact, everybody who are human, because this is a human, this is a human virus. Parte po yun mamaya ng ating magiging discussion tungkol sa pangalan ng HIV. So number 2 naman, sharing of needles. Yan. So that's why it's also a little bit reminiscent o kumbaga ito ay nakakasalamin din sa current na kampanya ng ating bansa to eliminate drug use in the country. Kasi there are actually proven data saying or telling us that there was a period of time in Cebu that there was a drug hotel or drug den that they were calling, and people could just go in and they have the drugs, or they could buy drugs, and then when they pay the person in charge, they will go into the room, settle in a bed, and beside that bed is a needle which they can use. And dun po talaga din yung danger kasi when you're using drugs, you're not very aware of what you're doing or what you are exposing yourself to when you're using a needle. Di mo alam na share na pala sa ibang tao, and that is actually one of the reasons why it's also being transmitted through that way. Another way that it can be transmitted is number 3, mother to child. So ayan po, mother to child. I know that some people might think that or are not familiar with the mother to child transmission, pero it happens. There was one time in the course of our advocacy, meron po sa aming report that in one village, alam niyo naman po ang ating mga kababayan, 'di ba? Sometimes lalo na sa probinsya kasi I came from the province, I came from Bicol. Shout out po pala sa lahat ng mga Bicolano who are watching right now. Sa Bicol, kapag mapapansin nyo, di ba, na yung mga magkukumare, sabay-sabay din silang nagbubuntis. Sabay-sabay din sila nanganganak. So in a particular village in the province, there was one mother who was a member of their barkada. And all of them got pregnant. And can you imagine all 4 of them have children? And sa 4 na yun, isa lang yung may breast milk. So sa probinsya, it's not out of the ordinary or normal lang for kumares to offer, wala kang gatas. Pwede ako magpasuso. I can provide milk for my kumare. And that's what they did. So this very kind-hearted kumare, shared her breast milk to her kumares. Unfortunately, the kids starting, exhibiting na meron silang, nagkakasakit sila. So doon muna nagsimula, nagkakasakit yung mga bata. And then eventually, they went to the doctors kasi they were very worried kasi nagkasakit yung mga bata, diba? And parang they were worried it was some kind of epidemic, and they weren't really wrong because they found out later on when they tested the children that they were positive with HIV. And the mother, who was very nice and very kind, wala siyang masamang intention, turned out to be HIV positive. So, unfortunately, naipasa niya yung HIV sa mga bata because of sharing, yung pagpapasuso, offering to share her breast milk to her kumares. So that is one of the most unfortunate stories I've ever heard. And when I first heard it, I really felt that more people needed to be educated. So I hope that you guys would share with other people that these are the three main modes of transmission. Other modes, kaya siya naka-asterisk, is wala siyang data. Okay, so, but it also happens. So other modes of transmission is blood or blood products. So another is needle stick injury. Though, to be honest, it doesn't really happen that often for others. And I'm referring to the blood products kasi minsan we're all very dependent on the blood bank, diba? And the blood bank naman, they are mandated by law to evaluate or to screen all blood products before they put it out into the blood bank, diba? They're very strict about it. Though, syempre, in times of emergencies, like right now, because of the pandemic, you would notice that we need a lot of blood. And it's a specific kind of blood. We need the blood of people who have survived, diba? Who have the antigen against, or the antibodies against COVID-19. And minsan, siguro in the emergency, there is a risk, but wala pa naman po akong naririnig. But in times of emergency, kapag kailangan na talaga ng pagsalin ng dugo, and there was no time to test, nandun yung risk. Andun po yung, possibility lang naman that it might be transmitted because normally, the blood's tested. Another is the needle stick injury. Yung mga medtechs naman po natin yan. I think we also have some medical technicians on board. I'm not sure, or maybe medical health workers na nagvo-volunteer for the vaccination, ganyan, diba? I think they'll be familiar with this, the needle stick injury. Pero I'm not familiar yet with anybody who has experienced a needle stick injury and that was the mode of transmission to them. So overall, ito po yung different modes of transmission for HIV/AIDS. And alam niyo po, I also want to share this. Actually, yung males having sex with males, and then meron kami kasi mga na-experience na in the course of our advocacy, especially in tourism spots, like in Puerto Princesa, we have a lot of cases there wherein yung mga drivers po natin doon, they are earning their living by renting out their vans and driving foreigners. And minsan po kasi sa hirap ng buhay ngayon, they are tempted or they're asked by the foreigners if they would like to exchange sex with money, and sometimes they do that. And when nangyayari po yon, pagbalik nila sa bahay, they have wives, diba? They have sex with their wives and then they transmit the virus in that way. So it's also one of the examples wherein you might think you are safe kasi you have a husband, you are straight, you are basically you think that you're protected from the HIV pandemic, but the truth of the matter is there's so many layers under layers of issues when it comes to this, diba? There's being faithful, there's loyalty, there's also using protection. But at the end of the day, you're the only one who can safeguard yourself, which is why we always try to encourage people to be the master of your own protection. Always try to protect yourself. Okay, so next slide. All right, so for the situation, dito pa rin po tayo sa ating first part. So until April 2021, you can see the proportion by region of residents with diagnosed cases. So as you can see over here, the residents for the newly diagnosed cases of April, a lot of them, are still from NCR. And then you can see following shortly is from region A 4A, and then followed by region 3, and then so on and so forth. For to be honest with you, we don't really look at it and say, oh, karamihan pala ng mga tao na may HIV ay nasa NCR region 4A and region 3. The truth of the matter is this only reflects how effective the testing is, you know? Dito po kasi sa mga cities, mas malaya ang mga tao na makapag-test. They do not have to contend with the usual fear that is felt by people in Region 10, in DARMM, in CAR, in Region 2, 12, and Caraga, in Region 9, Region 1, and Region 8. Kaya po mababa yung rate dyan is because medyo mababa yung testing na ginagawa. Ayan. And then, we move forward to the other side and you can see the HIV cases in Asia from 2010 to 2018. So ito po kasi source from UNAIDS report 2018. So as you can see, there has been an increase of 203% in our cases. In comparison, ayan, we can see na medyo embarrassing in a way to see that Philippines is being left behind. Because as you can see, a lot of the different countries in Asia are succeeding in fighting HIV. You can see Nepal, Cambodia, in fact, Thailand, diba? Thailand also has a very progressive and liberated society. But despite of that, they are succeeding in making sure that their population, is protected from HIV/AIDS. And one of the things that is actually very embarrassing on the part of the Philippines is tingnan niyo po yung mga kasama natin na pababa, di ba? We have Pakistan, we have Afghanistan, and we have Sri Lanka. And what do they all have in common? They have actually, a less, or their educational system is actually less developed than ours. So most of the time, if your educational system is well developed, it means that you have informed citizens and you have a better chance at fighting HIV and AIDS. But in the Philippines, for some reason, it doesn't follow. So despite the fact that we have a very educated population, we do have that, we have high regard for education, the fact still remains that we are losing the fight in some aspects since 2018. Kaya po yung aming campaign, we were elected during 2018 po kami na on board ng DOH for the pandemic, and it is something that we really need to address and reflect on. So understanding HIV and AIDS. Ayan po. So as we move forward, we will be discussing the different terminologies. How can one person get HIV? What are the different misconceptions? How can you prevent HIV? And different points to remember in addition to the HIV law. So understanding HIV and AIDS. Terminologies. Ayan po. So ang HIV, what does that mean? That means human immunodeficiency virus. And then AIDS means acquired immune deficiency syndrome. When you have HIV, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have AIDS. But when you have AIDS, it means that you are a person living with HIV. So yung human immunodeficiency virus, what does that tell you? It tells you that, number one, ito ay sakit ng isang tao. And what does the I tell you? Immunodeficiency, sakit siya ng isang tao kung saan ang kanyang kakayahan para lumaban sa sakit, which is our immune system, ay humihina. Okay, so isa siyang sakit kung saan, or hindi kaya siya sakit, isa siyang virus, sorry for that. So isa siyang virus kung saan ang tao ay humihina ang kanyang kakayahan para lumaban sa sakit. So we always try or make it a point to explain it in Tagalog. That is po the human immunodeficiency virus. So it affects or it attacks mostly our immune system. And ang AIDS naman po is different. You can have HIV without having AIDS because AIDS is acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. So what does this mean? Over time, when you do not take steps to address or to take medication that will address your condition as a person living with this virus, you will acquire an immunodeficiency syndrome. Over time, your immune system will get attacked over and over by the virus to a point where your immune system wouldn't be able to fight against opportunistic infections. Ano yung mga opportunistic infections? We will find out about that later.
Dito rin yung bangkal eh. Barangay Bangkal. Dito.
Okay.
Dito rin yung Matay ko nga yun eh. Hindi ko nga binuksan yun eh. Wala na yun kasi. Sobrang dami kayo sa langaw eh.
Our dear,
Ang langaw.
please mute your...
Natay ko yun kanina eh. Umalis kayo.
Siguro our dear organizer, Sir Pao or Ma'am Peaches, pa-message na lang po si Kuya.
Yes po. Thank you.
So HIV is an STI. I hope that we can understand that. It's a sexually transmitted infection. So what does that mean for us? It means that if you have gonorrhea, chlamydia, herpes, HPV, or genital warts, syphilis, herpes, trichomoniasis, and hepatitis B or C, this is an indication for you to also get an HIV test. Why? Because as a sexually transmitted infection, there is a high chance. We're not saying that it's definite, diba? Pero there is a high chance that you might have been transmitted, or you might have been given the virus. So it's important, if you know anybody right now who is suffering from a sexually transmitted infection, particularly yung mga nilagay ko dyan, please ask them or request them to also have an HIV test if they haven't. So ano yung pagkakaiba ng HIV test and HIV screening? Well, the HIV test, that's actually very similar to the test that we did before for COVID-19. Yung drop, you will prick yourself, take a drop of your blood, put it into the test, and then after a couple of minutes, meron ka ng result. Yung HIV screening naman, that's a little bit more complicated because you would have to go to an accredited hospital. Meron sa St. Luke's, I forgot the other one. Basta meron sa St. Luke's na HIV screening facility wherein you are able to kumukuha sila talaga ng medyo marami-raming blood sample from you, and then they will subject that to rigorous test screening and in order to determine kung nung nag-positive ka sa HIV test, hindi siya false positive, because that also happens. Not more than often, but may mga rare occurrences na it's a false positive. But they do that. If you test positive with HIV test, they bring you to the hospital to do the HIV screening to determine if talagang with finality you have HIV. So what do we test in the HIV test? We are actually looking for HIV antibodies. So what are HIV antibodies? Para sa mga bata siguro, and a refresher for all our parents and all our professionals right now, di ba? HIV antibodies ay similar sa mga pulis ng ating katawan. Kapag meron tayong mga viruses or bacteria na parang kagaya ng criminal na to na nasa screen natin, and they're trying to break in to your body and to cause havoc, diba? Gusto kanilang magkasakit. Our body has an internal system which they call 911, and they asked for your immune system or your these are composed of your white blood cells to go and arrest and kill actually these viruses and these bacteria. Okay. So another thing that, so yun po, recap ko lang, yun po yung hinahanap natin sa HIV test, the HIV antibodies. If there are antibodies, then that is a sign that there is the virus in your blood. So ano po yung tinatawag naman natin ngayon na window period? We are trying to remind everybody that medyo mas madali na ngayon because of the COVID-19 kasi I think a lot of you also know about the window period, di ba? That just because you tested negative now doesn't mean you won't test positive a couple days later. Why? Because there is the window period. In the window period, you're not actually super sure if you are safe if you get tested immediately after you are exposed, diba? And when I say exposed, it's when you do activities that leave you vulnerable to the virus. Kagaya nung kanina, diba, we were talking about how is it transmitted. So you are exposed if you have sexual contact, or if you shared needles, or if you, in the case of the mother-to-child transmission, medyo may risk kapag medyo maybe kapag nakaborrow kayo or someone donated breast milk to your child, di ba? So there is the window period. In our window period po, kailangan nating hintayin from exposure to the accurate result. Usually, in HIV, we wait for 3 weeks at most to test after your exposure to make sure that your results are accurate. So, if you had, for example, let's use sexual contact. If you had sexual contact...
Hayaan mo na, andyan na yan. Kasi hindi ka dapat nagsasaing dyan eh.
Okay. So, if you had exposure in week 1, we usually suggest that you get tested after 3 weeks. And then even then, we have a lot of clients, or we have a lot of people, we suggest that after getting tested 3 weeks, they also get tested 3 months later para lang po sigurado. All right, understanding HIV and AIDS continued. We will also discuss opportunistic infections. So, ano po ba yung opportunistic infections? I said this earlier. So, kapag meron po kasi tayong HIV, ang nangyayari is our immune system are being attacked by the virus. So actually, the virus goes inside our body. It doesn't attack anything aside from our immune system. And ano po yun? They are attacking our white blood cells and our anything and everything that is connected to our immune system. So dahil yun ang ina-atake nila, it is leaving our body vulnerable. Because imagine if somebody is killing all the police inside your body, what will happen if an opportunistic infection in the form of pneumonia actually goes inside your body? Then dun po yung problema, because these opportunistic infections wouldn't have anybody else to stop them from doing damage to your body. Other terms. So other terms po natin is CD4 and viral load. So yung sa mga monitoring tests for people who are living with HIV, yun naman po ito nag-a-apply. CD4 is the strength of defense or immune system. So this will tell you how strong your immune system is. And the viral load will tell you how strong the HIV or the number of attackers is in your body. So kapag nagmo-monitoring test po tayo, kailangan natin i-check if the CD4 is going up, not going down. Kapag bumaba po yung CD4, it means that you are probably entering into AIDS. And ang viral load naman po, kailangan po niyang bumaba. Kapag tumataas, and that's the reason why your CD4 is going down, then dun po nagkakaroon ng transition from just a person living with HIV to having AIDS. Okay. Our next term here is the antiretroviral therapy, or the ARV, the antiretrovirals. These are what we call lifetime medicines. Kasi po wala po talagang cure ang HIV. I hope that's clear with everybody. HIV has no cure. But does that mean you will die immediately just because you have HIV? Of course not, because a lot of people have already proven. I have a lot of friends in the advocacy who are people living with HIV, and they're living amazing lives, limited maybe, but they're still living amazing lives despite having HIV, because they know the importance of taking the ARV drugs. So the antiretrovirals is like similar to an antibiotic. Why? Because these drugs are the drugs that you cannot take out of time. Meaning you have to make sure you're following the time to make sure na hindi masana yung HIV or the virus to the antiretroviral therapy that you are taking. So these ARVs are supposed to suppress the viruses and to stop their progression in order to lessen the viral load that you're talking about and to strengthen your CD4. So for people with HIV, it's very important for them to take their meds on time and to make sure they're taking it for the rest of their lives. Because the moment they stop taking it is the moment that HIV or the virus itself will once again get stronger inside their body. So if you would look at this illustration, people living with HIV, let's not call them victims because they're not. At this age and time, HIV should just be treated as another kind of lifestyle disease. Para po sa akin, like me, ako po yung naulila at a very early age because my dad died from a heart attack. And that's a lifestyle disease. Diba? Our cardiovascular diseases, the diabetes, lahat po ng mga yan ay lifestyle diseases because these are diseases that we get from the lifestyle that we live. And HIV is no different. In fact, I think we should realize and educate other people that people who are living with this virus are not victims. Rather, they are survivors and they're very strong. A lot of them ay tunay na nakaka-inspire if you get to know them better. And I hope that we will continue to, I'm very happy to have you guys with us this morning kasi this shows that you are open to learning more about HIV so you can help us in our fight to eliminate the stigma attached to it. So what does U equals U mean? Dun sa pinakita ko kanina na bingo, meron din challenge or option na what U equals U mean. So U equals U is undetectable viral load, that's the first U, means or equals untransmissible HIV. So actually, it's very possible that you might have HIV, but you cannot anymore transmit it to other people. Hindi ka na nakakahawa. That is only achieved by religiously taking the ARVs, making sure you're taking it on time, and you are taking it every single day. And because of that, a lot of different people I have met, have great relationships with somebody who is not living with the virus. So it's also very possible for you to have a stable relationship with another person because you are no longer transmissible. Hindi ka na nakakahawa. So it's very important to look at it na by treating yourself, by making sure that you are, going to the doctor, getting your meds, drinking your meds. When you treat yourself, you are also preventing yourself to become part of the problem of the pandemic. So I just wanted to also discuss this with you because HIV-related stigma, sa totoo lang po, walang namamatay sa HIV. Para po sa amin, ang karamihan ng namamatay sa HIV ay namamatay dahil sa stigma, sa hatred, and sa discrimination that is usually attached to people who are living with the virus. So the HIV-related stigma and HIV-related discrimination, they really come hand in hand because sana we would realize, as we go along in our everyday life, what are my different biases, diba? What are my different biases growing up that could contribute to unfavorable attitudes, beliefs, and policies? Because usually, isipin ng ibang tao, as long as hindi ako nang-discriminate, diba? It doesn't mean daw that they're doing anything wrong against people because they do not discriminate. But the truth of the matter is, it really begins kung ano yung nasa utak natin. Ano yung mga attitude, belief na meron tayo that actually contributes to the discrimination. Because the discrimination will not happen if it doesn't start sa kung ano yung iniisip natin. So, I hope that people will realize that we need to change the way we look at HIV pa lang itself, not just looking at the people or the person, but we're looking at the condition itself. HIV pa lang mismo, we need to make sure that we're looking at it in a very logical way, in a very level-headed manner, para maiwasan yung nangyayari na you're acting out the unfavorable attitudes, beliefs, and policies. Because so many times have I listened to stories of people living with HIV, and when they come up to their families, and you will listen to them, and their families will tell them, ibig sabihin ba niyan, anak, hindi ka na pwedeng gumamit ng parehas na kutsara at tinidor sa amin kasi baka mahawa kami. And if you might think it's just a very small thing, diba? Think if it's going to be like, maliit na bagay lang naman yan, dapat hindi ka maging balat sibuyas. The truth of the matter is, it hurts. And the continued approach na ganon sa mga people living with HIV actually hurts them, and it needs to stop. Even in the office, may mga pagkakataon din po kasi na even when you mean well, there was an incident before. There is a receptionist. She was very good at her job. Kaso, she found out that she was positive with the virus, and she did the right thing. She actually confessed, or she told her employer about it. And the reaction of the employer was to remove her from being the receptionist and placing her into the inner office, doing still secretarial work, but no longer doing receptionist work. And when the employer was asked why he did that, he said that he was caring about the employee kasi she has the virus, so maybe we need to take care of her better by giving her tasks that will expose her to less people in order to protect her from diseases and stuff like that. But the truth of the matter is, if you really wanted to help, you would have proceeded by treating her as if nothing was out of the ordinary. Treating her as if she's not fragile, and treating her with respect. And at the very end of it all, ano yung lesson dito? I think that we need to band together. We need to help each other, to educate each other that HIV is not a death sentence. It's also not an evaluation of your life choices, because sometimes yun din po yung nagiging punto ng ibang tao. It's also nothing to be ashamed of, and it doesn't cripple you. It's not something that will cripple you for the rest of your life. HIV is a manageable condition that can be treated and can be prevented, just like any other lifestyle disease, as I mentioned. So I hope that we can start helping one another, because HIV is a virus and stigma. Our hatred for something that we do not understand, and our hatred for something that we are afraid of, yun po ang sakit. Yun po ang kailangan nating labanan, at yun po ang kailangan nating alisin. And HIV is a virus, but at the end of the day, it is the discrimination that can kill people. Okay, so beginnings of HIV, and that's a question mark, really, because they are saying, there are reports that before it became a human immunodeficiency virus, it was first found, traces of it was first found in the apes family. So, well, this is actually just a cautionary tale for all of us, diba? That we need to respect biodiversity. We need to respect animals, diba? In the same way that the COVID-19 has been attributed to the eating of certain bats or certain animals. I think hindi nga bats, sa totoo lang, I also heard reports of the pangolin. So, eating of certain exotic animals na lang, yun, in China has led to the COVID-19 virus. They're saying that, certain interactions with certain monkeys is the origin of HIV. So, what certain actions, you might be wondering? There's some reports of sexual intercourse because, in other areas, in other countries, syempre sa Pilipinas, hindi natin iniisip yan kasi we don't have that kind of culture. But in other countries, you will be amazed how different they are because there are what we call animal brothels. Animal brothels, you heard me right. There are brothels who are using animals, tying them to beds. I've seen pictures of chimpanzees who are tied to the beds and they're being used for sex work. You will be wondering how can that be, but that's really that's really the dangerous potential of human beings. We really don't know kung hanggang saan ang kaya ng tao. So this is a warning to all of us to also respect, the biodiversity, respect animals, respect Mother Nature, respect the environment. Because doon naman talaga tayo nagkakaroon ng problema whenever we overreach our boundaries. As we continue to do that, even up to this very minute, somebody is abusing our environment. Maraming nangyayari na hindi maganda para sa atin. Okay. So let's discuss naman at this juncture the phases of HIV progression. So how does it progress? So first stage, actually, guys, sa first 2 to 4 weeks, you might get flu-like symptoms. I've had friends who, in the advocacy, who told me, alam mo Pat, actually nung una, nagkasipon lang ako. And then after ko nagkasipon, I didn't really feel anything after that. And this is the situation there. So for the first 2 to 4 weeks, para ka lang lalagnatin, flu-like symptoms, and actually you're highly contagious and you have a high amount of virus. And you can actually, pwede ka talaga makahawa nito. And then the second stage is the clinical latency. So ito naman yung mas dangerous actually, the HIV inactivity or dormancy. Again, during the COVID-19, because minsan, clinical latency, nakakatakot siya kasi walang symptoms. Just like COVID-19 situation, nakakatakot pag asymptomatic. Tapos kasama mo, it reproduces very low levels. It can last for decades or can be faster. So the viral load, as I said earlier, as I explained earlier, it goes up and then the CD4 goes down. So in this situation, as you can see in phase 2, yung progression niya papuntang phase 3, makapansin, walang nakalagay, di ba? So phase 1, but for phase 3, nagkakaiba siya based sa kung ano yung body type mo. Ano yung body type? Ano yung immune system task mo? If you're naturally very strong, it might take several years for the virus to actually wear you down and bring you to the AIDS phase. And that's only very healthy. But if you are like other people, kaya ng COVID-19, medyo mahina yung immune system mo, medyo mas malala ang tama sa'yo. So in that same logic, kapag you have less strong immune system, medyo mabilis po ang pagpasok mo sa AIDS phase. So what is the AIDS phase? This is a severe phase wherein there are already opportunistic infections Usually po talaga pneumonia, napaka-opportunista po niyan, tuberculosis. Yan po. And without treatment, you can survive for 3 years at most. And at the age stage, if the CD4 count is 200 cells per millimeter, ayan, mataas na yung viral load mo. And then you're very, very contagious. And so how does the process go? You go to, you can go to your barangay actually. Dapat po sa inyong barangay, your barangay health workers should have the capacity and the testing kits and the training to provide HIV test. Actually, sana po magkaroon din ng paraan para sa inyong eskwelahan, sa inyong school, sa inyong community to have actually, people who are able to do the test so that if anybody goes in confidence, diba? Kasi confidential po ito hindi mo naman pwedeng sabihin sa ibang tao dahil nga po sa stigma and taboo na connected dito, which is why HIV is one of the most protected in terms of confidentiality. So sana po sa inyong komunidad, you have somebody na kilala ng mga tao na he knows how to do it. Actually ako po, I am a certified peer counselor trainer and also I am also trained with HIV test. So actually, minsan sa akin may pumupunta to do the test. Though, takot po kasi ako sa dugo. So, I know how to do it, but I can also guide you to the correct organization or clinic that will help you with your HIV test. So actually, sa mga barangay dapat meron, sa mga clinic, there are actually clinics established by the Department of Health that are primarily there to provide care for HIV, do the testing, provide the medicine. Then you also have the private organizations such as Project Red Ribbon, and we also have Love Yourself. Yan po yung mga medyo kasikatan ng mga organizations wherein you can search for them online and you can ask them for assistance on how to get tested. So you get your test, and then if you turn out to be positive, then yun na po yung pagkakataon na kung saan dadalhin kayo sa confirmatory testing sa hospital. And then after confirmatory testing and they confirm, you will be brought you will be asked to report for treatment. So dun po ulit sa mga clinic. And then aside from the treatment, meron po tayong mental health counseling kasi medyo kaakibat po talaga ng mental health yung atin pong situation when it comes to HIV. So ano po yung different modes of transmission? So sinabi na po ito kanina, diba? Blood and blood products. Then we also have sexual transmission. And then we have the mother-to-child transmission. So mother-to-child transmission, ito po yung mga different ways that it could be transmitted. We have during pregnancy, we have during labor and delivery, and then we have breastfeeding. Ayan. During pregnancy, diba, pwedeng through maternal blood and cervical secretions. Tapos during labor and delivery, abruption placenta, hemorrhage, and preterm delivery. And then last is breastfeeding. But actually, for the information of everyone, it doesn't mean that you're pregnant, papasa mo na talaga agad, automatic. When you're pregnant and you get treated, diba? Kaya a lot of pregnant women are being asked to do HIV test. And I hope that you don't get offended. Kasi some people, they get offended. Pero wag po kayong ma-offend kasi they're just trying to make sure with 100% certainty. Kasi pwede ho magkaroon ng doubt sa perception mo lang sa sarili mo na I'm safe versus sa isang test that will give you without no doubt na you are safe from the virus. So when you're pregnant, there's a requirement by doctors for you to get tested for HIV. Please take it po sa ating mga nanay, sa mga ating soon-to-be mothers, sa mga gustong manganak, gustong mag-anak. Sana po wag po natin kakalimutan yon. And the reason for that is if they catch it early, maaga nilang malaman na HIV positive, then that means that there is better chance for you to become U equals U. You remember what I said earlier, diba? U equals U. And then if you are if you are undetectable and untransmissible, then that means that there is a very good chance, almost 100% chance that you won't pass it to your baby. And that's the most important point of it all. You want to protect your child. So what are the different fluids naman that can transmit the virus? So nauna po yung papaano na transmit. Ngayon naman, through what can it be transmitted? Ano po ang nagiging kumbaga carrier nito? So ang una po sa lahat ay dugo. Of course, blood. Blood really has the virus in it. And then number 2 po is semen. Ayan. Semen in Tagalog, usually we ask this po so that at least alam po namin na talagang alam po ng ating community. But semen in Tagalog is tamod. Ayan. And then vaginal fluid, that's the female secretions, diba? So vaginal fluid, we usually call that the hema. Hema. And then number 4, we have breast milk. So yan po yung 4. At dyan lang po, mapapansin nyo, walang laway, walang pawis, walang ihi. Okay po? Natatawa ko at matatawa siguro kayo sa mga sinabi ko. Pero later on, you will know why I said those things. So, 4 na condition of transmissions. So, dapat po lahat po ng ito ay present for you to say that the virus was truly transmitted. So, alam na natin kung ano yung mode of transmission. Alam na rin po natin kung ano yung different fluids that will contribute to the transmission, magiging carrier. And then, ito naman po is yung condition. Pag na-meet po lahat ng conditions, then almost for certain, sigurado po kami na matatransmit yung virus. Pero pag may isa lang po dyan na mawala or hindi ma-comply with, sigurado din po kami na hindi po mahahawa or matatransmit yung virus. Ano po yun? It's called ESE. Para maalala nyo agad. It's ESSE or ESE. So first, the virus must exit the body of an infected person, lumabas. Tapos paglabas niya, is letter S, survive. Siya ay nabuhay. So the virus must be in conditions in which it can survive. Okay. Sufficient, sapat in Tagalog. So there must be a sufficient amount of the virus for infection. And then last but not the least, there must be entry. HIV must enter the bloodstream for infection. So kung nakita nyo, yan po yung kailangan yung maalala. S, lumabas, nag-survive, and then sapat ang amount ng virus, and then letter E, entry, nakapasok. Nakapasok siya into your bloodstream. Okay. So ano yung mga misconceptions, diba? So i-apply mo yung essay. HIV actually cannot be transmitted through talking. Ano ba yung lumabas, diba? Laway. Saka sound waves. Di naman kasama yung sound waves, diba? So yung laway, it's not one of the ways or carriers of the virus. So lumabas siya, wala pa rin. So if it's exit, may lumabas nga, pero hindi yun yung kailangang lumabas. Okay. Kissing and embracing. Ano yung lumabas? Laway din. Saka yung ibang tao sabi nila pagmamahal, di ba? Pero hindi naman nakakahawa yun. Sunod, mosquito bites. Ayan. In mosquito bites, okay, may nag-exit sa katawan mo, blood. Check. Nag-survive. Yeah, check. Magsusurvive naman yon. And then, I actually let me correct myself. Hindi pala siya magsusurvive, sorry. Hindi siya magsusurvive kasi kagat ng lamok. So, yung blood mo pumasok sa biology or sa system ng lamok, ng mosquito. And kapag pumasok yun doon, mamamatay na yung virus. Hindi siya magsusurvive. Yun. Unless mutate. Pero wag na po natin isipin yung mutation na yan. So, sa ngayon po, wala pong nagpo-prove na natatransmit ng mosquito bites yung HIV. Another is yung sharing utensils. Ayan. Ano yung lumabas? Di ba laway lang naman? So, wala po talaga. Swimming, ano yung lumabas? O sabihin natin na merong nasugatan sa swimming pool, lumabas yung dugo niya. Or sabihin na natin na somebody did the deed and they masturbated and lumabas yung semen sa pool. Even if that happens, mawawala pa rin po yung element of survival kasi mamamatay po siya sa swimming pool kasi una po sa lahat, kapag na-expose siya sa air, kapag na-expose siya sa water, lalo na if it has chlorine, mamamatay po talaga yung virus. And last but not the least is sharing toilets. And kahit hindi po kayo mag-flush dyan, kahit yung hindi nakapag-flush, sumunod ka, umupo ka, wala pong effect yun. Sharing toilets is very safe. Okay, so ito naman po yung prevention aspect natin. So for prevention, letter A, that's for abstinence. Letter B, it's for be mutually faithful. Letter C, consistent and correct use of condoms. Letter D, don't use drugs. And E, tatlong E po yan actually, education, early testing, early treatment. So sa pag-prevent po ng HIV, ito po yung ina-advocate namin sa mga tao. It's A, B, C, D, E, so that's easy to remember. So first of all, abstinence. As much as possible, lalo na sa mga bata na nakikinig sa akin ngayon, please try to delay your sexual debut. Diba? We all have our debuts, diba? 18. For guys, sinasabi nila it's really 21, diba? But at the end of the day, if you can do what you can to delay your sexual debut, do it. Abstinence is still the best way for you not to get infected by the HIV. And I hope that our parents will help discuss that in the right manner, with our children. Ano yung right manner? Explaining to them everything you've learned here. And explaining in full po, wag po nating kunin yung isang part at i-present sa kanila without presenting in its totality. Kasi kailangan po ng tiwala. And for me, I grew up, I'm an only child. My dad died when I was very young, I was 6 months. I only had my mom and I was, the only daughter. And the one thing that I really appreciated from her is that she always made sure to explain things to me in full. Wala pong manipulation, wala pong trying to make me think na dapat ganito, pero just because she wanted to. She always wanted to maintain the trust between us. And I think that's the reason why I grew up the way I am now. And I think it's very important as parents, because parents ask us all the time, how do we talk with our children about, these issues, HIV, teenage pregnancy, and the best way really is to do it with trust. You talk to them, you treat them as their own person, with their own capacity to understand and to rationalize things. And that would be the best way to do it. And letter B po is be mutually faithful. If the sexual debut has been there and they're already engaging, or you are already engaging in sexual intercourse, the next best thing is to be faithful. Faithful po, hindi lang loyal. Kasi parang loyal ka pero hindi ka pala faithful. That's one of the things that we noticed, when there is infidelity, ganun po talaga, minsan nagkakaroon talaga ng high risk for the transmission of the virus. Another is letter C, consistent and correct use of condoms. Please try to research ano po ba yung tamang way of using protection, diba? Condoms, there are male and female condoms, and kailangan po consistent and correct. Sa mga lalaking na nanonood ngayon, please don't put your condoms in your wallets. Yeah, kasi na-apektuhan po yung effectivity nito. You're not supposed to put it in your wallet. Ayan. And then, letter D is don't use drugs. Alam naman natin, diba, that we want to stop people from using drugs. And HIV is another reason not to. Letter E is the 3 E's. So let's educate people like we're doing right now. Next is let's test people. Early testing is important. And another is early treatment. Kailangan po natin silang Okay, so we have PrEP, pre-exposure prophylaxis, and PEP, post-exposure prophylaxis. So these are actually things, or these are actually drugs, medication that you could take to protect you before you expose yourself. That's PrEP. And then there is PEP to protect you after exposure. Most of the time po, I have experienced that we are requesting for a PEP, lalong-lalo na po when there are children involved. Children, what kind of children you might ask? May mga bata po tayong nare-rescue from human trafficking. And there was one time that there was a child, a very young female child, wherein talaga pong kailangan siyang bigyan ng PEP. And we're very thankful for the DOH kasi tumutulong naman po sila na makapag-provide at free cost yung mga ganitong medicine sa mga nangangailangan, lalo na yung mga ganyan, mga victims of child abuse, human trafficking. And it also follows for people who, I also had some friend who had sexual intercourse with somebody na HIV positive pala, but they did not use protection because hindi pa nag-confess or hindi pa nag-divulge ng information yung partner niya before. Nag-divulge lang siguro after. And that's why they needed to take the PEP, which is a post-exposure prophylaxis. So these are your lifelines. So sana po be informed. We have PrEP and we have PEP. So points to remember, wag lang po natin kakalimutan yung 3 modes of transmission. Diba? We have blood or blood products, sexual contact, and then we have mother-to-child transmission. And then the body fluids, we have blood, we have semen, we have vaginal fluid, and then we also have breast milk. And then the conditions of transmission, let's not forget esse, diba? Exit, lumabas, survival, nabuhay, sufficient amount, and then entry into your bloodstream. So that's esse. And then our 5 points for prevention, A, B, C, D, E. Diba? So A is for abstinence. Yan. B, ako yung nagku-quiz. No? Dapat kasi kayo yung tinatanong ko ngayon pero ako na. So abstinence. And then B, let's be faithful. Hindi lang loyal. Letter C, let's have consistent and correct use of condoms. And then we also need to follow letter D, which is do not use drugs. What's happening? And then letter E, which is education. Yan. And early detection and early treatment. Yan. So under the law, napakahalaga po na ating matutunan na under the HIV and AIDS Policy Act of 2018 or RA 11166, education is a right to health and information. Kailangan po na mga eskwelahan, they need to do this, local government units, different agencies, they have to educate the public about HIV. And then we need, under the law, it is also mandated for the promotion and encouragement of HIV testing. Also, they also encourage economic empowerment and support, providing a way for the economic empowerment, lalo na po sa mga kababayan natin living with the virus. They also mandate health insurance and similar health services. Kasi po normally before the law, sa insurance, marami pong disadvantages kapag kayo ay HIV positive. Marami pong mga insurance ang hindi nag-a-admit sa mga tao na HIV positive. So ngayon po nabago na po ito and we're very excited to see that we're going to challenge, some insurance policies by the Commission on Insurance itself here in the Philippines in order to make sure na walang nadi-discriminate na person living with HIV. Also, as I said earlier, it's a very confidential. It's all about confidentiality. So I hope that we can treat it with confidentiality. Pag meron po sa inyo nang di-disclose, huwag niyo pong sasabihin sa ibang tao. Pag pinag-uusapan yung bagay, chismis kumbaga, na, oh, alam niyo ba si ganyan, may ganito, may HIV. Don't do that kasi you might be exposing yourself to jail time and to penalty. Also, marami po tayong provisions about anti-discrimination and bullying. And also, meron din pong provisions about violations and penalties. Ayan po. So, ayan po yung mga penalties natin for violations. Ayan. Pag nag-misinform po kayo, 1 to 10 years imprisonment. Pag discrimination, that's 6 months to 5 years imprisonment. Hindi po yan or sa pera. That's end. So, makukulong na po kayo, magbabayad pa po kayo. Ayan. So, violation of the Act on the Protection of HIV Health Workers. Ayan. So, 6 months to 5 years kayo pwede makulong. And then, HIV testing without consent. Hindi nyo sinabi na na tinest nyo pala yung dugo niya for HIV. That's actually 6 to 12 years imprisonment. Yan. And then confidentiality, violation yung parang sinabi mo sa ibang tao. Yan. Different penalties. Depende sa kung paano mo binunyag sa mga tao na HIV positive pala ang iyong kaibigan o iyong kakilala. Yan, we have 6 months to 2 years, we have 2 years to 5 years, and 5 years to 7 years. Okay, so ito yung mga efforts natin so far. We're coordinating with the Insurance Commission in order to invalidate yung mga provisions na nakaka-violate sa mga karapatan ng persons living with HIV sa Insurance Commission circular nila dated number 2019-30. We're also working with PhilHealth to improve the OHAT package. Ang OHAT package po kasi sa PhilHealth, yun po yung nagko-cover lahat ng gastusin para sa HIV treatment. So actually, hindi ko pa pala nasasabi, pero ang treatment po sa HIV ay lahat dapat free. Wala pong kailangan gastusin dito. Magtataka kung libre ito, bakit hindi masyado maraming tao ang nagpapatreat? Ang katotohanan, kahit po libre, dahil po nahihiya sila, dahil po sa stigma at sa tabu, ayaw po nila magpagamot dahil matatrack sila or malilabel daw po silang PLHIV at ayaw po nila nun. So, yun din po yung challenge sa DOH at sa ating lahat. Kailangan po natin silang gamutin para po matigil na yung pagkalat ng virus. So, sana po tulungan niyo po kami sa bagay na iyon. Bawasan natin or tulungan nating matanggal ang hatred o ang stigma o ang tabu para naman po matulungan natin na magamot ang ating mga kababayan na merong HIV. We're also dealing with Dole Department Order 102-10. Ayan po. And we're also dealing with Dole Department Order 198 Series of 2018 sa IRR naman nila for Occupational Safety and Health Standards Act. At dyan pa nagtatapos sa aking talk. Actually, Sir Pao, yung kasama ko po na resource person, naghihintay daw po siya. Hindi siya makapasok sa link.
Sir Pao. Pa-accept daw po sa link.
Hi, Ma'am Peach. Are we done?
Sir, yung kasama ni Miss Pat, nag-aantay po sa
Hindi siya makapasok sa link. Incorrect meeting passcode daw.
Is she around na ba?
She can't open sa link daw.
So far, wala naman po akong pending request for admission dito.
Sir, baka ibang link yung naipass?
Hindi. I also sent it to Ma'am Patricia kanina lang.
I'm asking her to try again. Sorry, nag-dial pala kita.
Reaction no? Na kung saan ang mga tao kung namumulang na ayos, magagawa natin ng ayos sa ating trabaho din sa iba pa. First, training.
Ayan, Sir Pao, siguro while waiting for the...
Training. So, the sufficient quality intervention for teaching and learning.
Ayan, sir, for yung makapasok yung friend ni Miss Patricia. Baka may mga questions tayo dyan to entertain. Ayan, yung mga students natin, yung ating parents. Baka meron po kayong tanong. The floor is now open.
In addition, also, the consistency and equity of schools and
So I will stop.
Parang, I should say that this place to
Sir Darren is raising his hand.
Yes, Sir Darren.
Hi, good morning, Miss Pat. Can you hear me ba?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I don't know if what I'm going to say is a question or an additional statement.
Okay po.
You said a while ago na yung contamination of the virus can be spread through breast milk or through breastfeeding. Tama pa, di ba? Kasi po, you shared a while ago na there's an instance wherein may nag-donate ng breast milk and then yung babies nila were infected by the virus because of the donated breast milk.
The situation was actually sa mga sitio sa barangay and diretsong pasuso ang nangyari, hindi donation.
Alright, right. Yun lang. Kasi I thought yung donation kasi as far as I know, once the virus is exposed to the air, tama ba? It is actually patay kagad siya.
Yes, that's true. But in that situation kasi, pasuso siya.
Direct yun. And
direct pasuso.
Yes.
So kapag
another
pasuso, thank you rin for raising it. Just to also clarify, sa diretsong pasuso, that can also only happen for children because actually, the virus, kapag, kunyari, adult, you know, the difference kapag adult, kasi baka may magtanong, paano kung
yung si daddy.
Daddy, sumuso.
Yes.
It actually doesn't happen like that. Kasi when you're an adult, you have developed everything in your body. So yung saliva, yung gastric juices, digestive juices, it will kill the virus naman. It won't reach your bloodstream. Pero for babies, it's still not developed. So kapag yung mga situation na nagdadirektang pasuso, ganun po yung nangyayari.
Thank you po. And one more po, yung sa may source nung HIV, like sa monkey, as far as I know, as research is concerned, wala pa po atang proven na source na nanggaling siya sa monkey. Just to clarify or to educate them yung some students that are here, HIV is did not originate sa mga monkeys kasi that's why it's called HIV. It's human immunodeficiency virus. So since monkey is an animal and it's a human virus, so parang malabo siyang manggaling sa animal kasi nga human immunodeficiency virus. Saka parang wala pa po atang proven na nanggaling. Parang as in wala pang research na nagpatunay na kung saan talaga nanggaling si HIV.
Yeah, as I said before, question mark na siya for me, but it's part of our presentation to just caution everybody because though it has not been proven, it has also not been disproven with certainty that it did not originate from that. And when something is not proven or not even disproven, the best course of action is to be cautious, diba? We're also teaching our students to be careful about the way that they interact with their environment.
Thank you po. And lastly, Miss, ito na lang. What do you want or what can you say for those minors na gustong magpa-test? Kasi like yung iba, yung mga minors, they are afraid na magpa-test sila, di ba? Though testing is really the key for them na malaman kung if they are really positive or not. So since may mga minors, so anong pag minors, kailangan ba ng parents? Kailangan ba sila lang? Or anong mga need nila gawin kapag if they want to get tested since gusto nila yung discreet lang or yung walang nakakaalam, gusto nila sila na lang and everything. Since you are part naman po of the Project Red Ribbon.
Yes po. Pasensya na, iano ko lang kasi gusto ko lang din makapasok yung kasama ko kasi meron akong meeting ng 12:30. Sir Paulo, bakit kaya hindi siya makapasok? I'll give you her number, okay lang ba? Okay. Sir Paulo, I sent you the contact details of Ma'am Pam. Okay lang ba? Can you try to
Yes,
check?
ma'am. Actually, I've talked to them already. I've talked to her already.
Okay, that's perfect. Okay. Okay, Darren, that's a great question. Siguro medyo nagmamadali kasi ako, so I wasn't able to expound on that. Pero I'll get back to you after a while kasi I have to go into a meeting lang right now. I told Sir Pao nga I had to leave at 10:30 and babalik na lang ako after. So if it's okay, I'll answer it later. And Kuya Pao, while you're waiting, can you flash the video before Miss Pam speaks? Can you flash the video entitled VIX? Kuya Pao?
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
The VIX one po muna. And then after that, please just let Ma'am Pao speak. Ma'am Pao pala, Ma'am Pamela, by the information of everyone, is our coordinator for Duyan. It's our program for children who are living with HIV. They're born with HIV. So we'll just wait for her. Please just wait for her. I'm very sorry. I have to, pero naka-ano lang naman ako, naka-off video and off, naka-mute lang. Sorry, thank you.
Thank you, Miss Patricia.
Ma'am, may I know the title of the video?
Sir Vix daw.
Okay.
Ang beach.
Yes po, Sir Darren.
Pero while hinahanap ni Sir yung video, may I just add?
Yes
Siguro,
po.
ano na lang din ni Miss Pam kung tama yung sasabihin ko. For those students who want to get tested, especially for those minors, you can ask your parents about it na samahan kayo. Kasi usually, pag pumunta sa mga social hygiene clinics, need ng consent ng parents. So, there are lots of social hygiene clinics sa atin sa Makati City Hall. I forgot kung atang ilang floor sa health department. Meron naman tayo doon. And it's actually free. And baka sabihin ng iba na meron, sir, meron namang nakakita or available health screening kits sa Shopee or sa Lazada na nabibili at a low cost. It is not actually advisable for them to use that kasi hindi tayo sure kung accredited ba siya ng DOH or whatsoever. So it's if they really want to get tested, if they really want to know their status, they must go sa mga social hygiene clinics, sa mga clinics, sa hospitals, and lahat ng mga accredited. I just want to add that. Thank you.
Yes, Sir Darren. Thank you po. Oo, di ba, isa rin yan sa mga advocacy ng Health Department, Makati Health Department. Remember nung nag-ano tayo sa DAP? Yung promotion nila sa HIV. Yes, meron silang free screening and testing po doon sa Makati Health office sa 7th floor. Alam ko 7th floor, tama ba? Parang gano'n. Oo nga. Sir, okay na po.
Sa Pasay, merong Love Yourself na pinakamalapit. Sa tapat ng DLPP na bus, something like that. Mercury
Okay.
Drag. Yun yung pinakamalapit po na Makati. Thank you.
Yes. Tsaka marami na rin tayo talagang mga kakilala, mga friends na, 'di ba, advocate din ng HIV.
Sa mga students lang, yung early detection is really the key kasi wala siyang symptoms talaga na mag-a-appear. So kailangan mo lang talaga, alam mo super healthy ka pero hindi mo alam meron na palang naninirahang virus. So as early detection, so para din limit kagad yung spread ng virus.
Pag-spread ng yes, tama po doon.
Ma'am Peach,
Yes po.
can you ask Ma'am Patricia the name of the parent speaker?
Miss Pam? Tama po ba?
Anyway, the video is ready.
Okay, sir. Sabi naman niya, i-play yung video, then after that, si Miss Pam na.
Gusto mo?
Anak, wag yan! Bakit kasi hinayaan ng magulang na gawin yan? Hindi ba nakakahawa yan?
Sa mata ng mga taong may konting alam tungkol sa kanya, nakakatiri siya.
Agnes? Agnes! Agnes! Alam mo namang namatay na ang pamangkin ko. Yung best friend mong nagbigay ng pasagan nito. Walang na mag-alaga sa kanya.
Inayawan siya ng sariling kamag-anak. Pero tinanggap ko siya. Hindi ko alam kung anong haharapin ko noon.
Ano kung gagawin sa kanya? Sisiyan natin din.
Mrs. Kailangan regular sangit test at i-monitor. Ganun talaga pag may HIV.
Ano po? Ano?
Nung narinig ko yun, HIV, parang gumuho ang mundo ko. Pero hindi ko siya binitawan.
Ay, Diyos ko! Baka naman magkasakit ka niyan sa ginagawa mo. Hindi ka ba natatakot?
Nag-iba tingin sa amin ng mga tao. At walang oras na di ko nag-alala.
Ito yun.
Pero hindi ako nawala ng pag-asa. Ang hiling ko lang, sana maging gaya siya ng mga batang nakakapasok sa eskwela. May mga kaibigan. Apat na taon na hinintay ko bago marinig to. Natutulog na ang virus sa katawan niya. Ngayon, tulad lang siya.
Sir Pao?
Pero ang lagi kong iniisip, kung ano man ang nasa dugo niya, paulit-ulit na tinatalo ng pagmamahal ko sa kanya.
Yes, thank you for a very touching video. Sir Pao, naka-join na ba si Miss Pam?
Hinahanap ko si Ma'am Pamela. Parang wala pang request sa akin.
Okay, si Miss Patricia kasi naka-mute and naka-off yung video niya, yung cam niya. Yes, Sir Darren, you're raising your hand.
Nakalimutan ko lang ibaba. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. Pero sir, may contact number yatang finorward sa'yo si Miss Patricia?
Yeah, pero na-send ko na kasi yung link sa messenger ni Ma'am Pamela. So I am just waiting her to... Bakit hindi siya makapasok? Hindi daw siya makapasok. Sige, Ma'am Peach, just go with the flow while we are waiting for...
Okay, so while waiting for Miss Pam, siguro recap lang natin some points. Yun nga, yung HIV situations in the Philippines. And of course, we are very thankful na in-impart ng knowledge ni Miss Patricia about the difference between HIV and AIDS. So we have to be, actually, it's a challenge for us to be the change that we want to be on how we view and understand people living with HIV. And of course, syempre, sa pagpapatuloy pa rin ng in celebration of Pride Month, we also promote, syempre, awareness to accept our brothers and sisters of in the LGBTQIA+ community. Sabi nga doon sa motto, doon sa quote nila na be proud and be you. Siguro yung may mga questions, pwedeng i-type na lang sa chat box. Then kapag balik ng ating speaker, pwede na ring masagot. Then, sir, kamusta naman yung mga nasa FB Live natin? Sa ngayon, sa Zoom, we have 67 participants. Yung iba daw kasi nag-vlog, kaya nasa FB official page,
Pamela
yes.
is already in our Zoom.
Okay. Miss Pam, welcome to Bangkal High School.
Hello, good afternoon. Good morning.
Good morning po.
Good morning po. Yes. Wait lang po.
If Ma'am Pam will share a PowerPoint, she has the control over it now.
Hello, good morning. Good morning po. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning po.
Yes, morning po.
Morning.
Yes, Ma'am Pam. Pwede pong mag-share ng PowerPoint presentation?
Actually wala po akong
Okay, sige
PowerPoint.
po.
Wala po. Ano po ba yung pwede kong i-share po na kahit wala pong PowerPoint? Sorry po kasi hindi ako masyadong informed po ano po yung magiging part ko po. Hello po.
Yes po. Actually, some points dun po sa mga shinare ni Miss Patricia on HIV and AIDS. Ayan po. So, karagdagan lang po. Wala naman din naman siyang particular sinabi about.
Hi, Ma'am Pam.
Yes po.
Yes po, about our advocacy po, especially sa mga children living with HIV po. Yun po kasi yung hinahandle kong group po, yung mga children living with HIV. So, sila po yung part ng community na medyo hindi push sila out. Mas sila yung lalong hindi out kasi syempre po takot ang mga parents, ang mga guardians na ilabas sila kasi nga because of stigma and discrimination. So, kami po, meron kaming support group sa under the Project Red Ribbon. Kahit po papaano ay nakikater namin yung mga special needs ng mga bata. Nakakalungkot lang po na hindi sila katulad ng mga bata na napupuntahan po ng different organizations or NGO kung gusto silang makita. Kami po ay naka-home base naman po sila. Kaya lang, pagka before po may mga event, kailangan silang kumuha ng consent sa mga parents para po ma-meet yung mga bata. Very open naman po ang mga parents na makita ng ibang mga tao, yung mga children living with HIV. Kaya lang, restricted lang po sa mga photos or sa mga pag-aano sa Facebook ng kanilang status. Kasi nga po, kawawa naman po yung mga bata kung napag-uusapan po yung kanilang mga condition po. So, sa part po ng duyan, ini-aim po namin na sana po dumating yung time na may cure na po para po sila yung mga unang magiging beneficiaries ng cure para po at least maprolong yung kanilang buhay at sana po ay magkaroon sila ng normal na buhay katulad ng mga ibang tao po. Isa pa pong gusto rin namin sa advocacy po na sana lahat po ng mga women, lalo na yung mga buntis na women, ay magpa-test po sila during pregnancy po. Kailangan po nilang magpa-test ng HIV po na kahit na sinasabi nila na sila po ay isa lang ang partner nila, kailangan pa rin po talaga na ma-sure. Kasi kahit po sa mga women, kung sila ay very loyal naman sa kanilang partner, kaya lang yung partner hindi natin alam kung merong nagkaroon ng isang one-time din na pagkakamali. Kasi pwedeng maipasa sa mga bata yung virus. Kaya nakakalungkot po isipin na 2021 na po pero still dumadami pa rin po ang mother-to-child transmission despite sa program ng DOH na testing for pregnant mothers ay mga lumulusot pa rin na nagiging positive po yung mga bata. Yun po.
Ayan. Thank you, Miss
Meron pa po ba
Pam.
akong pwedeng i-share? Gusto niyo pang pwede pa akong mag-share ng additional about
Sir,
sa duyan?
ayan. Sir Pao, do we
Or,
still have time?
Yeah, actually we have 9 minutes more since this engagement is up until 11 o'clock.
yes po. So yun po yung pang part ng sa mga children living with HIV. Isa pong this is a call for all women na sana po ay maging engaged po tayo sa awareness program ng ating government, ng DOH, para po maiwasan. Kasi po, may mga cases po kami, minsan kala namin liblib na lugar, magugulat ka, may mga batang namumuhay ng HIV. Kasi nga po, hindi po nakapagpa-test yung mga magulang. Tapos yung iba pong mga bata, namamatay na lang, malakas pa rin yung parents, namatay na yung bata, hindi nila alam, infected na pala yung bata ng HIV. Saka lang din nalalaman na HIV positive din yung parents. So, siguro, tulungan niyo po kami sa education, tulungan niyo po kami na maiwasan na po. Kasi po kawawa po talaga yung mga bata, lalo na pag nagiging mga orphan sila. Mga very helpless po ang mga bata. Hindi po alam, lalo na kung marami na silang mga infection due to HIV. Ang hirap na po kasing ilaban yung mga buhay ng mga bata. So, nakakadurog po ng puso na sa part ng community ng HIV, akala po natin kasi yung mga sa mga men having sex with men, or yung sa mga sex workers, or sa mga yung mga gay, hindi po. Lahat po ay dapat na maging aware na ang HIV po ay hindi lang po para sa ganito. Kahit po tayong mga babae na talagang alam natin na malinis tayo or isa lang ang partner natin, ay pwede pa rin tayong magkaroon ng ma-infect nito na hindi natin kasalanan. So, kailangan natin talagang i-push ang testing, and sa mga kabataan, please don't be engaged with premarital sex para po maiwasan yung ganito at talagang magkaroon na tayo ng zero ng HIV po, kasi sobrang dumadami pa rin po siya, lalo na nitong pandemic. Sobrang dumadami pa rin po yung cases ng HIV po natin. So, yun lang po. Maraming salamat po sa pag-invite sa akin, sa pagiging part po ng inyong education and awareness program this day po.
Ayan. Thank you, Miss Pam, na meron pala talagang ganyang organization na yung support group na kumakalinga sa mga batang living with HIV.
Yes po. Yes po.
Yes po. Okay. Students, kung may questions pa po, meron pa ba? We also have Sir Darren to help us kung kaya niyang sagutin. Ayan. Siguro, sir, nahiya pa silang magtanong? Or nag-iisip-isip pa sila at this moment?
Ako na lang, may tanong ako.
Sige, Sir Pao.
Ang HIV testing ba ay is it for free or
Yes.
or do we have institutions or groups that offers it for free, especially
Yes,
for those students who are really, ano yun, na hindi wala naman talaga silang pambayad para doon, but they would like to know whether your condition nila.
Yes po, free po ang HIV test po kahit saan. Meron tayong mga health centers na may mga HIV screening po. Kung ayaw naman po nila, may mga private po na institution na libre din naman po. Basta search lang po nila search naman po nila sa ano po sa Facebook or sa mga page po ng mga sa HIV community po. Libre po yan, wala po yung bayad. So pag mayroon pong naningil ng bayad, sabihin nyo lang po sa amin. Kasi wala po talagang bayad yung HIV screening po. Kahit sa mga health centers po meron po siya.
Let us be reminded of what Sir Darren have shared, no? Na let us, especially for the students, no? Let us be careful, no? In using those self-test kits, you know? At least maganda na ang gagawa nito ay yung mga talaga mga professionals and may mga trainings.
Yes po. Accredited po ng DOH po ng mga CBS motivator and trainer po. At saka may kasama po kasi yan na proper counseling po. Bago po mag-HIV test po, ay may counseling din po yan. Hindi naman siya po basta-basta lang na itetest lang po. May counseling po siya. And rest assured ng confidentiality. Pero dahil sa batas din po, kailangan po with consent pagka minor po, with consent po siya ng parents po. Kailangan po may consent kung magpapatest po. Kasi hindi po siya pwedeng basta kung bawa minor pa sila, hindi po pwedeng magpatest po si isang isang individual. Kailangan with consent po siya. So para po kung halimbawang mag-positive man, alam po ni parent kung ano po yung dapat gawin. Meron po siyang parang tinatawag na treatment partner para po before i-link sa isang hub or sa isang treatment hub po, ay alam po ng parents kung ano po yung gagawin. Ganun po yun. Kasi kung hindi man po, kung ayaw man talaga po ng minor, doon po papasok ang social service or ang DSWD para po sila po yung magbibigay ng assessment para po sa pag-disclose ng isang minor sa family or sa kanyang kapatid tungkol sa kanyang status. Kasi po, napaka-sensitive po ng ating batas yung confidentiality po. Even sa isang individual, kung ayaw po kasi niyang isabihin yung kanyang status kahit sa kanyang magulang or nang walang consent ng individual, ay hindi po pwedeng gawin po. Ganun po kaya minsan po doon po rin kami nahihirapan sa mga minor or sa mga sa ibang individual na nag-positive sa HIV, tapos po hindi ayaw niyang mag-disclose, then sobra ng marami na siyang infection. Ang hirap po i-treat, ang hirap po siyang tulungan kasi nga po kung ayaw niyang mag-disclose sa family na paano siya tutulungan, ay wala po kaming magagawa. So, marami pong nangyayari na namamatay po talaga yung mga PLHIV na sa ganung kondisyon because of kasi nga yung yung stigma and discrimination lagi na lang pong nandoon. Kasi even sa family, merong mga discriminated na mga PLHIV. So nakakalungkot po na 2021 na pero ganito pa rin sa atin, sa Pilipinas, kung paano yung acceptance. Na hindi naman kasi talaga dapat pandirihan or kasi parang lang naman siya, parang diabetes na pwede siyang ma-prolong basta lang po magta-take ng antiretroviral medicine. Kaya lang sa atin kasi sobrang grabe ang discrimination po. Kaya hindi rin natin masisisi na kahit na yung isang individual na naging positive na sa HIV ay ayaw mag-disclose even sa kanyang family dahil takot na ma-reject or takot na pag-usapan. Yun po yun.
Ayan. Thank you, Miss Pam.
Yes
Yeah.
po.
Yes, Ma'am Lou Hoson, one of the ESP teacher po.
Magtatanong lang po ako tungkol
Yes,
sa kung gaano ka-safe yung mga blood sa blood banks natin. Yung, kasi nabanggit kanina na walang early detection although positive ka na or carrier ka na nung virus. So for early detection, hindi pala ito na-detect. So ang tanong, paano natin masasabi na safe itong mga blood transfusion or yung gagamit ng mga blood from blood bank?
Yes po. When it comes po sa mga blood, yung sa ating mga blood bank, ay very safe po yan kasi meron na pong screen. May screen na po yan kung ano po ang donor po ay HIV positive. Pag nag-donate pa lang ng blood, nakikita na po yun. Nakikita na po yun. So, hindi, yung tinatawag na early detection, yun yung sa mga, for example, kung ano ka po, kung promiscuous ka, or meron kang may mga sex activity ka po na after na-expose ka po sa isang positive, yun po yung tinatawag na sinasabi nila yung early detection na hindi agad na nakikita kung positive ka. Pero when it comes to sa mga blood po, blood donation, blood donor po, nai-screen po agad yan. So, rest assured naman po ng ating mga blood from the Red Cross or from the blood bank ay mga safe po yan. Before po, siguro mga way back, mga 5 years ago, medyo hindi siya talaga nai-screen pa ng husto. Pero ngayon po, rest assured po na nai-screen na po ng husto yung ating mga blood po na binibigay sa mga mga needy ng blood po.
Thank you po. Naalala ko lang kasi yung napanood ko
Kasi
si
we have
Vico Santos yata yun.
we have case din naman na meron kaming mother na na-acquire niya yung kanyang HIV because nasalinan siya ng dugo sa 13 Martires. Nasalinan siya, so na-acquire niya yung HIV because of operahan siya, yung hindi niya na dinimanda yung ospital kasi wala na siyang, ewan ko bakit hindi niya ginawa yun. That is way back 2016, ganun po nangyari. Na pati yung mga anak niya, nahawa niya po kasi nasalinan siya ng dugo na operahan siya. So, nung mga anak siya, hindi niya alam na HIV positive na po siya. Pero ngayon po, assuring nyo na ang ating mga blood po sa blood bank ay po yan, well-screened po.
Ayan. Thank you, Ma'am Pam. Thank you, Ma'am Lou.
Can I add?
Yes po.
In terms of blood donating or blood transfusion, pag pumunta po tayo sa mga hospitals, before po tayo makapag-donate ng blood, may screening procedures po tayong pinagdadaanan. So may forms na binibigay yung hospital, parang may checklist like, I don't know, pwede bang sabihin like kung kailan yung last intercourse mo, kailan yung last donation mo, kailan nag-out of the country ka ba. So may mga checklist po doon, mag-a-answer ka lang ng yes or no, tapos i-screen siya ng hospital, saka pala sasabihin na if you are capable or not na mag-donate ng blood. After that po, before ka totally mag-donate ng mismong bag ng dugo, yung kukunan ka nila ng blood sample muna, which is subject for testing. Siguro it will take 15 to 30 minutes. Then siguro after that, saka pala talaga kukunan ng blood bag itself. Thank you.
Ayan. Thank you, Sir Darren.
Hello
Si Ma'am
po.
Santillan. Yes po.
Good morning po sa lahat. Ma'am Pam, good morning.
Good morning
gusto ko
po.
lang
Yes po.
linawan kasi daw sinabi niyo naman po na may screening, safe po yung mga yung blood, pero kasi po actually gusto ko lang pong maliwanagan o malaman yung sagot dito sa naiisip ko. Di ba nasabi rin po kasi kanina ng naon nating speaker na na yung pagka-proper po yung lagi kang nagte-take ng gamot, tawag dito ay pwedeng ano ba yung term doon kasi nagkaklase rin po ako online sabay. Multitasking ako ngayon eh.
Yes po.
Kung parang ano bang term doon yung parang matulog, tama po ba yung term ko doon?
Undetectable
Yung
po.
Yung po yung
Yung dormant.
Yeah.
Ayun,
dormant.
Yes po.
Yes
Ito
po.
po yung tanong ko ay na si Ma'am. Si Ma'am Patricia. Welcome po ulit. Ay, ang tanong ko po ay, safe po ba silang mag-donate ng dugo? Yung
Ay,
mga
hindi po. Hindi po sila nagdo-donate ng dugo.
kahit po
Yung
dormant
mga
na
ano
po.
po. Yes po, hindi po sila pwede mag-donate ng dugo.
Okay, so ganun po pala.
Natapon lang po yung dugo nila. Mag-donate sila sa ano na natapon po yun. Hindi. Joke lang po. Hindi po sila pwedeng mag-donate. Kasi po yung virus nandun lang po sa blood. Natutulog lang po si virus pero nandun pa po siya. Hindi po talaga siya mawawala. So for example, ang isang HIV positive po, undetectable na siya. Meaning undetectable, wala na po siya, yung virus niya po ay hindi na po siya makita sa isang blood laboratory po. Hindi na siya nakikita na active. Pero pag nag-test po siya ng testing kit, magpa-positive pa rin po siya, reactive pa rin po siya.
Okay.
Paulit-ulit lang po yun. So, ang confirmatory po ng isang HIV positive ay isang beses lang po. Hindi na po mababago yun. So, pag na-confirm kang HIV positive, ano na po yun, hanggang sa dulo ng buhay mo, gano'n na po yun, hindi na siya magbabago.
Kasi natanong ko lang po, Ma'am Pam, kasi personally, syempre hindi ko na i-divulge kung sino siya. May kakilala po kasi ako, friend, na sabi niya, okay na daw yung virus niya, yung dormant na nga. So, nag-donate ng dugo. Yung ganun po. Kaya sabi ko, pwede ba yun? Naisip ko po, ganun lang po.
Hindi po. Hindi po siya pwedeng mag-donate ng dugo po.
Opo. At least, alam ko na po. Kasi sabi niya, pwede na raw dahil okay na daw po yung kanyang
hindi po.
Sige po, salamat po. Thank you po.
Yes po.
Pero actually kasi 'di ba, Ma'am Pam, hindi rin ganoon ka-advisable na kahit na U equals U ka na, magdo-donate ka pa kasi donating blood also affects you as a person, like your health. So
yes.
Advisable yun kasi as a person living with HIV, your immune system is already compromised. Kahit pa dormant na siya, meron pa rin kahinaan na andoon. So, kailangan din pong panatilihin yung iyong kalusugan. So,
kailangan po, laging i-regain niya lagi yung kanyang health po. So, hindi, sa number 1 step pa lang, babagsak na rin po siya. Dito talaga siya pwedeng blood donor.
Yes, that's true. Kung may mga kakilala kayo na PLHIV, kahit U equals U, that's a good question, Ma'am Centellian. Thank you po. Let's tell them. Huwag po kayo mag-donate. Okay, hi Ma'am Pam. Thank you very much po. So that's Miss Pam. She's actually a very hardworking, vital member of the Project Red Ribbon. And she's the one in charge of our Duyan program. So actually, Ma'am Pam, kanina may tanong din kasi si Darren about, and I think he also answered it ata, but gusto ko lang i-input din na for minors aged 15 to under 18, actually the new law said that they could get tested even without consent of their parents or their legal guardian. It means that they don't need their parents' consent aged 15 to 18. Tama, di ba, Ma'am Pam?
Yes po. Inano na nila ngayon, medyo binabaan na nila yung age. Pero before, pag 18 talaga, 18 below talagang, pagka walang consent ay hindi pwede po talaga. So ngayon binabaan na nila.
So for your children, so for the children here who are 15 to 18, the law protects you. So actually mga parents, pag 15 to 18 din po, hindi po kailangan ng consent ng parent or legal guardian. Maaari po you might say, bakit naman ganon, di ba? Kasi tama naman sinasabi ni Ma'am Pam kanina. Actually, personally, I think the children should be guided. Kasi syempre, 15 to 18, kailangan pa rin naman nilang matulungan. But the law accounts for the fact na marami po kasing mga kabataan from 15 to 18. Lalong-lalo na po those who are pregnant or are engaged in high-risk behavior. Ano ba yung high-risk behavior, di ba? Ang high-risk behavior po is engaging in sexual intercourse and additional pa dun is engaging in multiple partners. So yung mga ganyan po na high-risk behavior, yung ganun din po actually, yun din po yung dahilan kung bakit mabutihan ng gobyerno na dahil nga napipigilan yung mga bata na medyo active na rin to do the test dahil natatakot sa mga parents or sa kanilang legal guardians, they relax the law. Kasi ganun po naging kaseryoso ang pandemya, ang epidemya actually, ng HIV sa bansa. In fact, under the law then, actually yung mga minors below 15 that are pregnant, tama Ma'am Pam, di ba? Pag under 15 naman,
Yes,
tapos pregnant, and then you're also engaged in high-risk behavior, yung kagaya ng mga sinabi ko kanina, kaso din siya na pwedeng hindi kailangan ng consent for HIV testing. Pero may guidance po yun, di ba, Ms. Pam?
ng DSWD po, kailangan po may ng social worker.
Doon sila
kasi hindi kasi sila itetest ng hub nang walang nakaanong yung social worker po ang parang nagiging legal nila sa pagtetest. So kailangan niya.
Sa ganoong situation, Miss Pam, kunyari lang, kasi I think we have very young people in the audience. Kunyari, they're 15 years old, kunyari, they're 14 and they're pregnant and they want to get tested. Where do they go?
Pwede naman sila pumunta kahit sa clinic. Kaya lang, pagdating nila sa clinic, for example, pagka na-tested silang HIV, dun po papasok ang ng intervention ng social worker.
And they don't have to tell the parents? Or they don't?
No, hindi. Tapos, pagka sila, pag siguro mga time na counseling na sila ng social worker, that is the time na tutulungan sila na mag-disclose sa parents. Kung ready na si individual. Pero hanggat hindi siya ready, hindi siya pwedeng pilitin, hindi siya pwedeng ng clinic or ng social worker na mag-disclose. Basta tutulungan lang siya ng clinic at saka ng social worker kung ano yung mga dapat gawin po.
Okay po. Okay, may tanong sila dito, Ma'am Pam, do you accept volunteers in the Duyan program for Project Red?
Yes, opo. Very open po kami ng mga volunteers. Kung gusto pong mag-volunteer sa amin, especially pag nagkaroon na kami ng Duyan Center, we are open po for volunteers po.
Maybe we could create a synergy between the school and your advocacy, so that those who would like to be involved in these kinds of activities, at least meron silang outlet. Do you accept that, ma'am, between our school and your organization or group?
Yes naman po, sir, yes. Basta meron lang pong memorandum of agreement po para po medyo maayos po yung ating
Opo. At least we are one in our efforts in educating our students, our parents, and of course our teachers. Kasi hindi lamang naman in the four walls of the classroom nangyayari ang education. Ay talagang talagang kailangan lumabas tayo dun sa ating mga convenient.
At saka kailangan po talaga maging very vocal na po tayo, especially sa family po na napag-uusapan po yung ganitong mga topic kasi this is po talaga very close po na ito yung reality na talagang kailangan nating na-save yung ating ating mga anak, ating mga kaibigan, ng ating lahat mahal sa buhay na hindi po pwedeng masabi natin na ako ay ligtas sa ganitong klase ng virus.
Okay, thank you very much, Ma'am Pam. Actually, one of our co-teacher here has a question. Sabi po niya, may test bang ginagawa sa blood donation o sa blood donated to check na free from HIV yung blood?
Yes po, meron po siyang ginagawa. Lahat po yan, na po yan, medical na po yan, protocol na kailangan i-test po ang mga ating mga blood donor po.
Yeah. Actually, din kasi baka yung kanina we had a discussion about blood-to-blood transmission, di ba? And to be honest, it occurs in very rare emergency circumstances na nagkaroon ng parang sabihin na natin 1 in a billion chance naman in our current situation na magkaroon na may makalusot or in fact talagang hindi pwede unless lang talaga magkaroon ng direct situation kung kailan kailangan ng transfusion directly, and that is not allowed, and that is something na sobrang rare. So I hope that hindi kayo matakot magpapasa ng kasi doesn't really happen.
By the way, I would like to recognize the one who asked the question if you're accepting volunteers. She's Ma'am Kathleen Ibao. She's one of the officers of the Parents and Teachers Association of Pangkal High School. Maybe she's thinking something that will the PTA can join, so that the advocacy will be more widespread sa school ng Bangkalay School.
Okay. Thank you very much for that, Ma'am Kath. We look forward to having parents actually with us. Kasi having parents would mean that you're showing your children, diba, a good example. So we would love to have parents with us. Siguro we can work out an arrangement nga with Sir Iko Johnson. Siya po kasi yung ating president, and he will be the one best to ask for a possible partnership in the future. They're asking pala, Ma'am Pam, if we have a contact number, if ever may referral for people who have symptoms.
Yes, yes. I can give my contact number to Sir Paolo Carvajal po.
Okay.
Very open naman po kami for referrals and para malig po natin sa mga possible na kung saan yung pinaka-nearest, hindi sila mahirapan, or kung takot naman sila, pwede naman tayong mag-refer sa medyo malayo, na medyo tagupo. Kung saan po sila komportable ay ibibigay po natin yun.
Okay po. May naka-raise ng hand though. I think it's Darren.
Hi, good morning po ulit. Ask ko lang, in terms of testing, I don't know what does the law says about this. Kasi you mentioned po, yung 15 to 18, kahit hindi na siya need ng consent. And yung below 15, if they are pregnant, kahit wala ng consent ng parents. So let me just ask, kasi since lot of articles said na yung during this pandemic, marami ng cases na yung minolest siya ng tito or whatsoever. Also, but then hindi naman sila pregnant, for example. Do they need pa, and if they want to get tested, do they need pa yung parents' consent? And if ayaw nilang sabihin sa parents nila kasi natatakot sila or whatsoever, it can be ba some other person. Let's say, for example, I am their teacher, tapos sobrang gaan ng loob nila sa akin. Pwede bang ako yung mag-represent in behalf of their parents, or it is not possible na kailangan parents talaga nila?
Yes po, pwede po yun, sir. Pwede po. Kung saan po mas komportable yung individual na mag-disclose ng kanyang, or kung gusto niyang magpatulong, nasa sa kanya po yun. Yun po yung nasa sa ano ng batas po natin. Kasi yung rights of people living itong mga ganitong klaseng cases po ay talagang yung protection po para sa kanila ang mas tinitignan po natin. Hindi po namin tinitignan yung kung ano po ba talaga yung dapat na gawin, pero yung lagi pong tinitignan po dito yung yung mas makakagaan para sa isang individual para mag-push through siya, para magpa-test, para kung if ever mag-positive ay maggamot. Nasa sa kanya po, siya po yung bibigyan po ng lahat ng parang sa kanya lahat yung ng mga community po. Hindi po siya pwedeng sabihan na ganito dapat mong gawin, hindi po. Kung saan po siya komportable ay siya po yung papipiliin po. So kung gusto po niya na kaibigan or teacher niya po or kung sino po yung pinakaano niya, pwede po yun. Wala pong hindi pwede sa kung ano po yung gusto nila.
Thank you po.
Yan. In those cases naman po that they're being abused, diba? That would be also a very good example of hindi nga siya high-risk behavior, di ba, Ma'am Pam? It's an high-risk situation. And that is also something na consider din, lalo na ng mga, actually experience naman yung mga social hygiene clinics and even the social workers or health workers if ever. Though in that situation, if you are a friend, so kung meron man po sa inyo na kaibigan at sa'yo komportable, syempre mas maganda pa rin na kayo din yung kumausap sa bata na magtiwala sa isang social worker, health worker. You try your best. Kasi at the end of the day, kaya sila nilagay din dyan ng batas kasi sila din yung mas makakatulong dun sa bata. Kasi kahit pa paano, meron siyang medical condition na kailangan i-address. So sila pa rin yung dapat puntahan for help. So yun.
Ayan, thank you Miss Pam and Miss Patricia. Sir Pao?
Mga bata ba walang tanong? Parang ngayon lang walang nagtanong ng additional na what if ganito.
Baka po siguro nahihiya yung mga bata.
Gusto ko lang ding mag-add kasi may mga audience pala tayo ng parents, no. Ito yung pagkakataon na siguro hindi lang para sa ating mga kasi lalo na Pride Month. This is for the LGBT community. So gusto ko lang po sanang sabihin na yung acceptance, kung ano po yung sexual preference ng ating mga anak, tanggapin po natin. Siguro ito yung magiging open door for our children na yung acceptance ibibigay natin sa kanila na hindi natin sila kasi most of the parents dahil lalo na when yung culture natin at saka yung ating pagiging being Christian or Catholic, lagi kasi tayong nakafocus na, ay, pag bakla, ganito, or pag ganito, ay, tomboy, pag ganito, diba? So, gusto ko lang ding sa mga parents na bilang mga magulang, ako po kasi magulang, gusto ko, makita ko sa community na kung bakit marami po yung mga nagsasuffer ng mga PLHIV dahil po yung sa acceptance within the parents. Gusto ko po sanang i-share ninyo na mag-start po sa atin ng pagtanggap, itanggapin natin kung ano po ba yung mga mahal natin sa buhay, kung ano po man sila ay tanggapin natin. Kasi hanggang sa dulo ng ating buhay, anak po natin yan, pamangkin natin yan, or kung sino po yan, mahal po natin sa buhay yan. Siguro yun yung magiging, kung ganyan po lahat ang mindset ng bawat magulang, ay darating po yung panahon na magiging zero HIV na po tayo. Kasi po, tinanggap natin kung ano yung pagkatao ng ating mga mahal sa buhay. Yun lang po. Salamat po.
Ayan, thank you, Miss Pam. Totoo naman talaga na yung acceptance is the first stage talaga. Pero ito rin yung pinakamahirap. Pero kapag natanggap naman na, everything will follow na po.
Yes. Can I also just add then, since we're also, parang mga last messages na rin, for all our advocates who are here right now, lalong-lalo na yung mga kababaihan at saka mga ina na nakikinig ngayon. Sa mga kababaihan, that's really, the sector or the people that I really want to reach out to. Because yung HIV/AIDS po, let's change the narrative. Kaya po siguro medyo nahihirapan ng Pilipinas sa pag-address dito is because nandun din yung fact na iniisip nila na hindi ito issue ng mga kababaihan, hindi ito issue ng mga tao na, not engaged in the behavior, high-risk behavior na tinatawag. Kasi yun yung lagi din sinasabi sa mga usual briefers, diba? Mga kabataan, engage in high-risk behavior. I want to change the narrative. Actually, let's try to treat HIV as I said earlier. Paulit-ulit ko itong sasabihin. It's a lifestyle disease. It's something that is just part of life. And as long as you are human, and as long as you are continuing to live your life, you are always there at risk. So the only thing that you can do to really contribute to the advocacy is to change the narrative. How do you change the narrative? For karamihan sa mga kaibigan ko, I always encourage them na even if they feel like they don't need to take the test, take the test. Kasi po, napakagandang bagay na pinapakita sa ibang tao that HIV testing is normal and it's part of our life. Taking the HIV test every time you feel like you need it, even if you, actually sa mga kaibigan ko nga po, kahit matatawa kayo kahit yung mga kaibigan ko na has never even experienced intercourse, pag kinakausap ko sila to support the advocacy, I tell them, take the test, show people, oh, I took the test, and then they're gonna ask you, why did you take the test even though you're not sexually active? Ang sasabihin nila, well, it's not supposed to be connected to that. It's just supposed to be connected to you taking care of your health. And I think if we change the narrative, if we change the way we approach it, wala naman kasing masama if you do that. And as somebody who comes from a very traditional and religious family, kung tatanungin niyo po, I am Iglesia ni Cristo, we have delivered the same talk to Iglesia ni Cristo officials. And in fact, Iglesia ni Cristo is a very avid supporter or donor sa duyan, di ba, Ma'am Pam? So
Yes po, yes po.
it only begins when you try to change the narrative. So, wag kayong magpalimita sa kung ano yung sinasabi nila na, ganito yan, ganyan. No, try to change the narrative and do your part. So, sa mga batang nanonood ngayon, sa mga magulang, talk with your kids. Tama si Ma'am Pam, sabi ko rin kanina, build trust. With my mom, I can discuss with her anything and everything. And she even has a good relationship with my own boyfriend. I have a boyfriend. So building the trust between you and your child should be the priority right now. Kasi karamihan din po kasi ng issues in our country, di ba? Lalo na yung mga issues that is continuing to endanger the youth. And nakakonekta po yan din sa smallest unit of society, which is the family.
Yes, the family, yes.
We need to face the reality. Baka there's something going on with the family. So maybe it's time for us to look back, take a step back, and check your family. Kamusta ba ang aking pamilya? Am I building a community of trust with everybody in my family? Am I letting them understand that I am a safe space? This family is a safe space, and that we have each other's back. So yun lang po, that's very important for me because we really need to address this, you know. Hindi kailangan na patuloy na tumaas ang dami ng kaso ng HIV. Kakibat din nito, hindi rin kailangan ganun dapat tumaas ang kaso ng teenage pregnancy at iba't iba pa pong issue na ating mga kabataan. So sana po lahat po tayo magtulungan para we can fix what is going on. Yun lang po.
Ayan,
Share ko lang
thank
po,
you.
share ko lang po, watch nyo lang po yung aking YouTube video, yung Just a Boy. To know me more.
Okay po.
Yun po yung title po, Just a Boy. Sa
So,
YouTube po.
I actually, Ma'am Pam, I sent them the video to play. Wala ka palang ata kasi kanina. Hindi ko
Talaga? Sorry, hindi ko alam mo po. Sige. Thank you po.
Yeah, so that's a video, Just a Boy. That's actually a campaign with VIX. Wherein yung meron kaming agreement with VIX wherein a portion of their proceeds of sale were donated to Duyan for the kids. So maraming salamat sa VIX. May VIX po dito. Yeah. Thank you very much po sa VIX. Actually, close the Q&A. Kung wala na po tayong ibang tanong, can I ask Sir Pao to play the last video? Kasi this is a beautiful video. I am an avid fan of What Would You Do? It's a show in America, and they show different situations. And one situation, Ma'am Pam, is there's a pair of friends wherein yung isang friend is HIV positive, tapos nag-disclose siya. Tapos may reaction, and then they tested how the community would react to it. And I hope that you would, it's also quite inspiring. So sana may mapulot din kayo from this video. So Sir Pao, pa-play na lang po.
Ma'am, anong title po?
Man is outraged after learning friend is HIV positive. Ayun. So, habang hinihintay natin mag-share screen. Thank you very much, Ma'am Pam. So, Ma'am Pam po, sipag natin na coordinator. Okay, so this is just very short. 9 minutes lang. Please write.
Night. We've got Georgia on our minds.
Oh my goodness.
What would you do? Head south to the Peach State and the great city of Atlanta. Here's John Quinones.
Good evening from beautiful Centennial Park, home of the 1996 Olympic Games here in Atlanta, Georgia. One of this city's favorite sons, Martin Luther King Jr., once said, "The time is always right to do the right thing." Well, tonight we put that to the test. Our hidden cameras are rolling, and we've got Georgia on our minds when we ask the question, what would you do?
Sir Pao, natigil po yung video.
I needed to talk to you. Your mouth.
The recording has stopped.
Sir Pao.
Sir Pao.
Okay, wait lang po. Wait lang po.
This meeting is being recorded.
Sir, yung audio po.
Kuya Pao, so ba try ko?
How do you tell me you didn't put my life in jeopardy? You could have told me that before I got here, before I even touched you.
This customer listened in on Hassan's uninformed response.
You know, I could catch it from you. No, you can't.
That's not how
you...
And he's finally moved to join the conversation.
This is disgusting, man. What if you sneeze right now? What if you cough? Everybody in here can be infected. By how? By him sneezing. By him... You're ignorant if you think that, man. I can't believe you treating your friend like that. It's pathetic this day and age. Yeah, but you're gonna tell me you don't feel
right now. I ain't scared of him. You can't catch AIDS like that.
You would take that risk?
Yeah, you want to see? Come here.
You ain't got nothing to worry about, man.
I'm sorry you can't be supportive right now. You gotta learn how to be a friend. You're a bigger man. Y'all can be all good and friends. I ain't dealing with it.
Don't worry about him. If he can't support you through this, don't worry about it. It will come back around. But it's definitely, you ain't gonna get it like that.
It's not me, man. You're all gonna get it somehow. It's disgusting.
You're disgusting.
Whatever.
The way you're acting right now is pathetic. I couldn't listen to that anymore. I'm sorry.
He's like my oldest friend.
Well, clearly he's mixed up.
Yeah, that's good. Hi, guys. How are you?
Hey, how are you?
I'm John Quinones. They're actors. You were upset.
Yeah. Raging, man. Nobody treats anybody like that. Clearly, it's a pivotal moment in that young man's life right there where he needs some kind of support and needs the help of a friend.
What was the final straw for you?
You could have AIDS. Big deal. I shook your hand. Doesn't matter. You're a person. You're a creation that breathes and has a soul, just like I do.
Nice to meet you, man.
Nice to meet you.
It's a topic that the people of Atlanta are talking about. But for our next two customers, it's not lunchtime conversation.
Listen, I can't. I gotta go wash my hands. I just shook your hands, man. It's fine.
Brian apologizes.
Guys, I'm sorry if you had to hear that.
And tries to strike up a conversation.
That was rough.
But they ignore him. Then they get up, cancel their food order.
How come? Is everything okay?
Yeah, it's all right.
And then they leave the restaurant. Why?
Myself, to be honest, I wouldn't want to pass that to nobody.
I wouldn't say I kill myself.
I will, bro.
But
I kill myself, man.
You would worry about sharing silverware, and glass of water, sneezing, all of that?
He was saying something about you ate off my utensils, now I gotta go home and wash them. Yeah, that'd be kind of scary too to hear, you know? Yeah. Now I gotta go check myself.
You know you can't catch it that way. It's got to be the exchange of bodily fluids.
Water, bodily fluids, saliva.
Anything.
Yeah, definitely.
When he turned around and looked at you and said, I'm sorry you have to hear that, you wouldn't even look at him.
Nah, I couldn't.
But I feel bad for him.
That was it.
You know, that was it. Yeah.
Yep, time to go.
That was a game changer.
We roll one last time.
What would you do? Infected. I hugged you when I came in here. Yeah. You could give it to me.
When Hassan steps away, these women give something to Brian.
And don't touch my drink. Thank you. We've known each other for like 10 years. I came to him for support. Don't get too close to these ladies. It's
right now,
but it's uncomfortable because he can put all of us at risk.
I'm in the medical field, also in the military. That's not last word.
It's just scary to not know.
And now they directly challenge Hassan to be a friend.
Just say you're sorry. Just please.
I'm sorry. It's just a lot to deal with.
It's a lot. Just me, not even. I don't even know y'all names, but that's a lot.
I felt just the way you were talking, that hurt.
Oh my God.
How are you? I'm John Quinones.
I'm Tasha Norwood.
You're in
I'm a
tears.
soldier, and I'm in the medical field, and that was.
I'm so sorry.
I'm so tired of this. The world hate. Period. I'm just so tired of it.
What was going through your mind?
His condition is no worse than someone who has terminal illness, cancer, or any disease.
How big an issue is AIDS in the gay community in Atlanta?
It's a big issue, especially I think in the Black community. Is you have a lot of people that have a problem with being gay, but I think some people are actually more like that. So, God wants us to love everybody. So
how do we solve it?
Just love. Stop all this judgment too. No matter what your religion is, your belief, just love. That's it, just love.
Next.
I love you, but you're going to stop being gay today.
When his parents try to pray away the gay.
There's a sickness that's going on inside of you that we need to fix.
Will others join the choir or preach?
We release him.
A different way.
But it's not right.
It's not right to you.
When What Would You Do? Georgia on My Mind returns.
Okay po. So, yeah.
Tonight.
I hope that that video was clear to many kasi medyo stop siya. So I just wanted to say that as you can see in that situation, that might have happened in Atlanta, but that's what's happening all over the world. People who are afraid or uninformed have or do those things. It might happen more than you can imagine. You might think, sino naman ang gagawa niyan in this day and age? But the truth is, it still happens right now, and it's the reason why people are dying. And I hope that you will find yourself, as what was mentioned, as Martin Luther King said, the right time to do the right thing. It's always the right time to do the right thing. So I hope you guys do the right thing and do your part in helping us in this fight to end this epidemic of the HIV and AIDS. So, ikaw, Ma'am Pam, do you have other?
Yes po, yun din yung yun din po yung gusto ko ring yung sinasabi ni Miss Pat na tulungan niyo po kami. Nagpapasalamat po kami kasi hindi po ganito pa ka-open ang lahat ng mga schools sa ganitong mga usapin po. So yung awareness and education is very important po para po at least yung information and yung dissemination starts with the individual. Kayo po, pwede nating ma-share po to lahat para at least ma-encourage po yung mga tao na magpa-test, magkaroon ng protection to use condoms kung medyo po yung kanilang sexual behavior po para at least po ma-prevent po natin to. So ang lagi ko nga po sinasabi, ang aim po natin ay magkaroon na po tayo ng zero case po sa Pilipinas po na hindi na po siya dumami na nangyayari po ngayon na kahit na ano po yung education, yung binibigay na awareness ng DOH ay nakakalungkot po na ang patuloy pa rin po ng pagdami ng HIV, ng epidemic na to. So maraming salamat po sa pag-invite niyo po sa akin, sa pagiging part po ng inyong education po. Sana po ay may na-share po kaming isang maganda at isang mabuting bagay po sa araw na ito. God bless po and hoping to see you po kapag meron po tayong meron na tayong okay na po itong ating pandemic po. Nagkaroon po tayo ng time na mag-meet po. Salamat po.
Ayan. Thank you, Miss Pam and Miss Patricia. Sir Pao, let me read the citation. Yeah, so ayan, Republic of the Philippines, Department of Education, National Capital Region, Schools Division Office of Makati City, Bangkal High School, awards this certificate of recognition to Miss Patricia Shirley Santos, is in grateful recognition for her dedicated service to the school as learning facilitator for the topic webinar on HIV education, awareness, testimonial, and screening during the 2021 celebration of the Pride Month, given this 29th day of June in the year of our Lord 2021 at Bangkal High School, Philippines, signed by our principal, Lev Albert C. Dakanay. Congratulations and thank you, Ma'am Patricia.
Thank you.
And next, sir. So we have certificate of appreciation given to Miss Pamela Magdaluyo in grateful appreciation for her dedicated service to the school as learning facilitator for this webinar during the 2021 celebration of the Pride Month. So given this 29th day of June in the year of our Lord 2021 at Bangkal High School, Philippines, signed by Sir Lev Albert C. Dakanay. Thank you, Ma'am Pam, and thank you, Ma'am.
It's my pleasure po.
Patricia, yes po. Yes, Sir Pao. Okay, for our closing remarks, take it away, Sir Pao, our head teacher too, ESP and Values Education Department, and our guidance counselor coordinator. And yes, Gender and Development Coordinator.
Okay, so thank you very much, Ma'am Peach. Of course, thank you very much to our learning facilitators. You actually hit the nail on its head. And I don't want to add anything more kasi talagang very, very extensive yung ating discussion for this morning. The only thing that I would like to say is thank you very much to all of you. Thank you very much, Ma'am Patricia and Ma'am Pam. Thank you very much to the ESP Values Education Department. Thank you very much, team. Of course, to our co-teachers in Bangkal High School, thank you very much for supporting all our activities aimed at developing our students holistically. To all our PTAs, maraming salamat po sa inyong pagdalo sa lahat ng mga gawain ng ating paaralan. Sa ating community officials headed by our barangay captain, Mario V. Montañez II, to our education in charge, Kagawad Tricia Eusebio, Kagawad Allen Policarpio, in charge of social service. So maraming, and of course, hindi natin pwedeng makalimutan yung ating main beneficiaries of all these activities. Walang iba kundi yung mga mag-aral no? Sana yung mga webinars natin simula nung Friday hanggang ngayon ay tumimo sa inyong mga learnings ay tumimo sa inyong kalooban, isip para maging gabay ninyo sa inyong epektibong pamumuhay. Muli po sa ating mga susunod na gawain ay inaasahan ko po na patuloy po tayo magiging isa para sa matagumpay na mga school activities. Muli po, maraming salamat sa inyong lahat.
Thank you, Sir Pao. Ayan, so for our traditional before we end this webinar. And syempre sa lahat po ng umattend ngayong araw na ito, maraming salamat po. So may I request to open your camera for the picture taking.
By the way,
yung hindi ko naka-open ng
speakers, no?
Naka-mute.
Ito pong activity na ito ay hindi lamang dito sa Zoom natin, pero ito rin po ay naka-televise, no? Naka-live stream pala sa buong barangay ng Bangkal. Kaya maaaring hindi po sila nakapasok dito sa Zoom, pero rest assured, ito po ay naka-record sa ating barangay official FB, and ilalagay po nila ito sa YouTube para po for easy access din ng ating mga kabarangay at kalunsod sa Makati. Okay, so again, katulad ng sinabi ni Ma'am Peach, may I invite everyone to please open their videos for the picture taking. I only have 2 pages or sheets.
Sir Pao, hindi kami makakuha ng cam, nakaskip yata.
Okay, so please wear your best smile in 1, 2, 3. Okay, another one. 1, 2.
Naka-mute cam namin.
Okay, page 2. Ma'am, hindi ko po off ang inyong camera, ang video. Kayo po ang mag-access niyan. Okay, ready? 1, 2.
Okay lang.
Okay. So thank you very much, Ma'am Patricia. We'll send you our token of appreciation. Hopefully, this will not be the end. We'll contact you sooner po.
Yeah, just Mr. Iko. We have a lot of programs. We do capacity building. We also train people talaga to how to do the test and also how to become peer counselors. So that kung meron man kayong kaibigan na gustong mag-advise sa inyo, we would be better trained. We believe in building a community that is better trained.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Patricia. Okay, so I will end this Zoom session in 3,
Thank you.
2, 1. Thank you.